The Mets' travels take them to the banks of the Ohio River. Great American Ballpark, the scene, their first trip and their only trip to Cincinnati this season, the place where professional baseball was invented. At Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, the New York Mets play the Cincinnati Reds. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Cincinnati. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez with you tonight as the Mets open a 3-game weekend series against the Reds. Curtis Granderson has been a puzzlement for the Mets this year. He signed a 4-year, $60 million contract in the offseason. Since the All-Star break, Curtis's struggles have been legendary. And now Terry Collins has decided to make a move. He sat him 2 of the last 4 days. Now he moves down to the 6th spot in the batting order for the first time since early June.
Well, 41 games since the All-Star break, and that's epidemic, and that requires getting Curtis out of any spot. Remember, Curtis was going to hit in the cleanup spot when this season was going to give David Wright the protection he needed. Well, that hasn't happened. It's been so snowballing on Curtis. It's a good move to move him down in the order. Also on the other side, it gets Matt Dendecker and Lagares leading off, and it gives Dendecker now the number 2 hole tonight in the batting order, and he'll probably get more fastballs with David Wright hitting behind him. So what may look for Curtis to be a bad thing, it might be beneficial for Dendecker.
That gives the Mets a chance to perk up their offense, which has been the second lowest scoring offense since the All-Star break. The lowest scoring? Well, that's the Cincinnati Reds, who at the All-Star break looked like they'd be a contender. They've been in the postseason 3 of the last 4 years, but since the break, awful.
Well, they've had a tough second half, and they've been without Joey Votto, their all-star first baseman, MVP. He's been out since May. Brandon Phillips missed a month of the season with a thumb. It's incumbent when you lose your 2 stars, it's incumbent on your other star to step up. And Jay Bruce just hasn't done it this year. This is a guy that's hit 30 home runs plus the last 3 years, drove in 100 runs last year, and he is not getting it done this year, hitting .220 with only 15 home runs and 59 RBIs. It's been a real struggle for him, and it's spilled over into this offense.
On the mound tonight, a couple of Dominican right-handers will go head-to-head. Bartolo Colon, who had a bobble his last time out after he came home from his mom's funeral.
Well, he had the rough outing, the rough 6th inning, where the Phillies got a hold of him. Got 5 runs off him in that inning. His first time his ERA has gone over 4 since the beginning of the year, but he's an old veteran here. He's 3-1 career against Cincinnati, but his last win against the Reds was as an Angel back in 2007.
Alfredo Simon was an all-star for the first time. He's been a reliever the last couple of years. He's already thrown far more innings this year than he ever has before.
Well, all-star is correct. 12-3 at the break, Gare, and 1-6 in the second half. He's been a reliever most of his career. Maybe he's hit a speed bump, but his last 2 starts, he's had 2 fine outings going 7 innings.
The Reds wearing the green-trimmed uniforms tonight in honor of Irish Heritage Night at Great American Ballpark. It's the Mets and the Reds. All the action coming on SNY.
welcome home. By Pepsi. For more of MLB's most thrilling moments, check out MLB.com/Pepsi. By Bob's Discount Furniture, proud to be the furniture store of the New York Mets. And by Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit Geico.com for a free rate quote. You can follow every Mets game with MLB.com and bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live look-ins, instant replays, scores, stats, audio, free MLB.tv game of the day, and more. Download on the App Store or visit Mets.com today. Time to invite you to send in your AT&T fan photo of the game. Tweet or Instagram your photo using hashtag SNYFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown later tonight during the game. Warm night in Cincinnati. Temperature right around 90 degrees. Bartolo Colon set to go. So are we. Come on back. For the 8th straight game, Matt Dendecker has settled into the 2-hole. Curtis Granderson moves down to 6th. Another start for Dilson Herrera, his 8th in his brief major league career. And the Mets will go up against the big right-hander from the Dominican Republic, Alfredo Simon.
Well, Simon, a reliever, started out in Baltimore, came over here to the Reds, was a reliever most of his career, got thrown into the rotation this year because of Matt Latos with the knee surgery, and he had a spectacular start. Was an all-star, first-time all-star, but it's been a tough second half, but his last 2 starts have been outstanding. And we'll take a look at the Greens. Oh, excuse me, the Reds. The Reds defense brought to you by Coors Light. It's Jason Bourgeois. How's that? What a nice French name in left field. He's been around a long time. Brian Pena's been playing first base with Votto down. And Simon and Mesoraco, who has really had a fantastic, kind of a breakout year for the Reds this year.
Zach Cozart, their shortstop, out with a wrist injury, but he might be back as soon as tomorrow. Simon's first pitch of the game to Juan Lagares is in for a strike, and we're underway. Lagares had a great series in Miami, 7 for 14, stole 3 bases in the 3 games, and over the last 12 games, Juan is now hitting .343.
He's been hot, and I like him in the leadoff role. And this is the time of year now when you're not in contention that you can start experimenting, and it's nice to be able to experiment with your future. And I like Juan in this role right here, and he's capable of stealing bases. He is cut out of the same mold as Tommy Agee. I think he has that kind of potential.
Well, Agee, of course, turned into a pretty good home run hitter. Hit 26 home runs that 69 season, and Lagares has more power than he's shown.
Yes.
The question is how much you'd like to have him try to display it, as he also tries to be the high on base percentage guy you want him to be in the leadoff spot.
Well, I don't like to rush hitters. I don't like to rush athletes, period, when they're young. They've got limited playing time.
And he went around on the half swing against the slider, and that's how it goes these days. Mark Ripperger at first base made the call, and that's the first out of the night.
Lagares is getting back to Juan and his power. Let him get his feet wet. Let him hit for the average. He's coming to this game hitting 284. Let him have a good, confident year, and then as you get more experience, then you learn to pull in certain situations. Don't want to rush hitters.
Now Matt Dendecker. Dendecker, a 5-game hitting streak, and he had 3 hits in the Mets' last game on Wednesday, including a drag bunt single. And word has gotten around. The corners come in, and Dendecker takes low for ball 1. Interesting, Brian Pena, the first baseman, was well in on the grass, and then they just backed him up.
Well, the idea there, and I can tell you, is that for the right-hand pitcher, the bunt's going to be down the third base line. And let's not forget, you've got a Gold Glover out there at second base, and Brandon Phillips, who can cover a lot of ground, both left and right, and coming in on a bunt. I just can't get used to this uniform. Can you?
It's a one-day affair for Irish Heritage Night. The Reds become greens. Dendecker takes high, and Simon behind 3-0. Simon made his first start for the Reds against the Mets. That was the opening week of the season. That's the last time the Mets saw Cincinnati. And he pitched a gem. In fact, the Mets took 2 out of 3 in that series, and Simon had the only win for the Reds. And that's a strike to Dendecker, 3-1. He pitched 7 innings, 1 run, 4 hits, and he was off and running to that great start, 12-3 at the All-Star break. But he had never pitched more than 115 innings in a season in his career, and he's up to 167 already. 3-2 to Dendecker, so you can certainly understand how he would come down to earth the second half of the year.
Well, he's not used to going deep, and looks like he hasn't missed too many meals either, so you know, he might be running out of gas. But then again, last 2 starts he's gone deep, 7 innings, Garrett.
It's a big man, 267 pounds, and it's too high, ball 4, and Dendecker's on with a 1-out walk. Simon's had good control all year, less than 2.5 walks per 9 innings, but he walks a batter in the first inning. He, like Colon, has had first inning troubles this year. And the Mets will try and pounce early with David Wright coming up.
He's given up 20 home runs on the year. And David Wright had the big game in the second game of the series in Miami, then just kind of had a tough one the next night, 4 punch outs.
0 for 5 in that game Wednesday against Tom Kohler and company. 1 out and 1 on. And he takes the slider outside for ball 1. David's gone 171 at bats since his last home run. You would think this would be the kind of ballpark where he'd be able to break that number. This is a great home run hitter's ballpark.
Now, this ballpark right here, the wind over the right field fence, as you come into view here, is the Ohio, which runs east and west. So the prevailing winds blow out to left field here, but 370 in the right center field gap.
And there is a wind tunnel out to right center.
Yep.
Because there's a gap in the stands on the third base side that creates a wind tunnel.
Right.
And it just flies out that way.
It just brings to mind. I always think in terms of small ballparks. Wrigley Field always comes to mind. Wrigley Field's 368 in the gaps. 370 is only 2 feet longer.
You see David's great numbers in this park.
I'd love to play 81 games in this yard.
Yes, you would. Any hitter should. Dendecker at first. And in the dirt, Mesoraco makes a nice block, 2-1. The Mets, as a matter of fact, have had a lot of success in this ballpark, which opened in 2003. In fact, the Mets have the best winning percentage of any National League team at Great American Ballpark. That includes the Reds. Mets are 21-14 in this building. That's a .600 winning percentage since it opened. There's that gap in the third base stands that creates that wind tunnel. There goes Dendecker. It's lined into right center field. That's down for a base hit. Dendecker will go first to third, and the Mets have runners at the corners with 1 out. So with Dendecker in motion, David Wright plunks one into right center, and the Mets are in business.
Well, you get the full counts and you runners on base, you get yourself in trouble. And David doing what he has been doing of late. Hasn't been hitting for the power, but he's been basically, his hits have gone from center field over to right field, opposite field. And Dendecker, who can run.
He did not look back.
No.
That was not a hit and run play.
No, he's got to look.
So now Lucas Duda bats with first and third and one out. Lucas has really cooled down since that great trip to California. Just 5 for his last 35 without a home run.
They've been getting him out inside. He hasn't been getting the barrel of the bat through. Pitching him in. And anything out over the middle and down for Lucas should be something, a pitch that he never passes on. That's his strength. Belt down, out over the plate.
That's been doing a lot of running lately, and so Simon taking a look over at right. Duda has struggled this year in these spots, just 13 of 28. Getting a runner in from third with less than 2 out. That's 46%, well below the league average.
Well, Simon's last outing in the first inning against the Pirates, he lost, gave up 3 runs in the first.
That was a 3-run homer by Neil Walker, and
right.
That's all he gave up. It's the off-speed pitch, and it's 1-1.
He retired, what, 19 of the next, I think, 25 batters. Only gave up 4 hits in the game.
There you see the first inning numbers this year. So if he gets past the first, he's usually in pretty good shape. But the Mets trying to jump on him early. Travis d'Arnaud waits on deck. Simon making his 28th start of the year. 1-1 coming to Duda. Wright runs. Mesoraco's throw is not in time, and David Wright has a stolen base, his 8th of the year. So the Mets continue to run late in the season, something they've been doing with regularity now the last couple of weeks.
Well, Simon not paying a lot of attention to base runners. Mets taking advantage. Walking lead's always deadly. Never want to let a runner get a walking lead.
It's 14 stolen bases against Simon this year, 14 out of 20. So now 2 in scoring position for Duda. The infield will stay back. 2-1 the count to Lucas. And Simon taking a deep breath and trying to reset. Simon went to his first All-Star game this year with that 12-3 record at the break. And Duda pounds one into the ground on the splitter, 2-2.
Doesn't look like, I'm looking at the standings, that anybody in both leagues in Major League Baseball is going to win 100 games, and no one's going to get there this year.
Close.
Not
LA. The Angels have 84 wins, so they would need to go 16-7 to get to 100.
You can do that, but I don't think it's going to happen.
2-2 to Duda. Simon needing a strikeout, and he gets it. It's on that splitter low and away. And so in a big spot, Duda goes down on a weak cut for the second out.
Well, it's a pitch that's been forgotten and pretty much banished to the Isle of Elba. Who knows where it went. But I tell you what, it is a wicked pitch. I wish they had banned it when I played.
Perhaps the Isle of Tanaka. So it's left to d'Arnaud with second and third and 2 down. In the game Wednesday, the last game the Mets played, they had second and third, nobody out in the first inning, and didn't score. As Tom Kohler struck out 3 in a row, Mets would wind up winning that game. d'Arnaud fouls one away.
We'll take a look at the grip, and I know all about the grip because I played behind Bruce Sutter, who was the master. And you can see the fork ball, which used to be the forerunner of this pitch, which Elroy faced through for the Pirates. Your fingers are more split across the ball, like halfway across the ball, widespread. What the grip on the splitter, the difference is that you don't hold it like a fastball. You just in between the forkball and the fastball grip, and the thumb comes into play. Bruce used to throw it and push his thumb up and push the ball to spin, rotate down, which to me was the darndest thing, that he could do that and throw it 3 speeds. come in with men on base, Gary, cold, and get people out.
Well, they couldn't touch him. The forkball that Elroy faced through, that was more of a changeup.
Right. Had a little sink to it, a little drop, but a lazier drop. And of course, Elroy won 18 ball games one year in relief for the Pirates.
Hard-working first inning for Simon. He's already walked a batter, given up a base hit, struck out a pair. Darno had the go-ahead hit for the Mets on Wednesday, an 8th inning opposite field double against Brian Morris that put the Mets in front to stay. Travis hitting .343 over his last 9 games.
And he lines that one into left field for a base hit. Dendecker is in. Right will be held up as Bourgeois throws it in on one hop. It's an RBI single for Travis d'Arnaud, and the Mets jump in front 1-0. So d'Arnaud, who had the go-ahead hit on Wednesday, gets the go-ahead hit in the first inning tonight.
Well, d'Arnaud has been driving in a lot of runs. I love it when he stays level. He's a line drive hitter. And the ball just hit too hard. And a lot of these parks today, a lot smaller. It's hard to score on a single, a hard hit ball. And I think that takes away from the excitement of the close play at the plate. It's one part of the game. Another part of the game that's changed because of the smaller dimensions of the park that I don't like.
So here is Granderson, dropped to 6th in the batting order because of his latest slump. And he takes a strike. Curtis 0 for his last 18, and as we noted on Wednesday, it's already the 7th time this year that Curtis has had an 0 for of 17 at bats or more, which is just mind-boggling.
He pulls that one just foul.
Almost had himself one down the line, but the first base umpire Mark Ripperger right on top of it, and it just went foul. Ripperger, the youngest umpire of this crew. Right at third, d'Arnaud at first after his RBI single. And the Mets ran a delayed double steal to get a run in New York on their last homestand. The Reds aware of it, and so Mesoraco stepping in front of the plate to give signals to the infield. This was exactly the situation they ran it, with an 0-2 count and Granderson at the plate.
This game started at 90 degrees. It is a wonderfully hot day here.
Supposed to cool down significantly over the next 2 days here.
Well, it's going to get in the 70s.
Well, that's very different from the 90s.
It's very comfortable 70s here. I know that you're a 90 guy.
I prefer the 90s. We all have our different tastes. Some prefer red, some prefer white. Vanilla, chocolate. 70s, 90s. 0-2 to Granderson. Comes inside, 1-2.
Well, when your hitting coach comes out in the paper and basically says that we've got to retool in the offseason the swing, when you got a veteran hitter, you usually hear that with a young player, not a veteran.
Well, sometimes you have to make concessions to age too, right? I mean, Curtis is 33, had huge home run years at Yankee Stadium at age 30 and 31, but as you get older, don't you have to change sometimes?
Not at 33. 33, you're 1 year out of your prime. And it's been a hard year for Curtis. He tilts his head when he hits, which is something I don't like. I've always stated that your eyes have to be parallel to the ground. And Curtis has this little tuck. He's got a corkscrew stance, and when he swings, his head tilts and his eyes are at a 45-degree angle. It's hard to hit that way. Your whole perception of the ball coming in, Gary, because I've done it. And when I noticed, when I did it, I was okay. I immediately corrected it. I was aware of it. They're going to play behind the runner at first here, full count.
So d'Arnaud will be running. Granderson got behind in the count 0-2. Now he's worked it full. Simon about to throw his 30th pitch of this opening inning. A run already in. 3-2 coming. And he fouls it off. It's been a laborious first inning for Simon. You see in that 2-year period, nobody hit more home runs than Granderson. 41, 43. This year, 16. Again, the 3-2. And he taps one the other way for a base hit. Wright trots in to score. D'Arnaud goes to third. He's going to be waved around and now holds up. Jim Tuffle waved him, but D'Arnaud had a better view than Tuffle did, I guess, and saw that Bourgeois had corralled that against the sidewall, so he stopped. Curtis Granderson snaps his 0 for 18 with an RBI single. One of the rare times we've seen him take the ball that way this year.
And a pitcher's pitch outside. And there's left field. We haven't seen much of that from Curtis. So that's. No, he fielded it cleanly. He'd have been dead to rights going home.
Not sure why Tuffle was waving him, but he was. So an RBI double for Granderson. And the Mets with 2 runs already in. Second and third and 2 out, and Dilson Herrera coming up. Herrera had that big game in Miami where he hit the home run and the triple. He's 0 for 10 since then. He's been seeing a lot of breaking stuff.
Well, I like his swing. He's 20 years old. He's made a couple errors in the field. I don't care about that. I love his swing. Getting the big leagues, it gets a bit daunting, especially when you're 20. I think this kid's got a big future. I've been wrong before, but I know a good swing when I see it. We'll take a look at Timmy here. Tough. David scoring easy. There's Tough coming into your pitcher, third base coach. It's a late and not a very authoritative. That's kind of in between there, and I don't think that D'Arnaud would have been out by a mile.
Well, D'Arnaud made that decision on his own. It turned out to be a good one. So this is a huge spot for Alfredo Simon in this first inning. He's given up a pair. He's facing a rookie hitter with 2 in scoring position, and the Mets trying to put up a big number in the first. Just Dilson Herrera's 7th big league game, and he pops one foul. It's a ball and 2 strikes.
Good cut. This kid's got a very compact swing, and I like what I see. People just leave him alone, let him swing the bat.
Now the 1-2. Popped it up. Bruce, the right fielder, calling. Side retired, but the Mets cash a pair in the opening inning. RBI hits for D'Arnaud and Granderson. And in Cologne, a 2-0 lead. Billy Hamilton leading off. Jay Bruce struggling through a rough year. Brandon Phillips, who hasn't hit a lick since coming back from thumb surgery. Jason Bourgeois call up. Ramon Santiago filling in at shortstop. And that's the lineup Bartolo Colon will face tonight.
Well, Bartolo's going for number 13, and there was a lot of scouts at Citi Field last homestand when Bartolo was pitching, and he survived the deadline. And,
again.
Yes, and still, either way you slice it, he's leading the Mets in wins.
12-11 this year, 4.01 ERA. Billy Hamilton leads off, and the speedster takes a strike. Hamilton having a fine rookie year, hitting .267, probably hitting more than people thought, certainly driving in runs from the leadoff spot better than people thought, and stealing bases about the way they thought he would. 55 steals, already a Reds rookie record. However, he also has been caught 21 times, which is the most in the league. And Bartolo misses up and away, 1-2. Hamilton probably is the front runner for the rookie of the year, and the Mets have their own candidates in Jacob deGrom and Jerry's Familia. Unfortunate in some ways, as Hamilton fouls it back, that deGrom won't pitch in this series. Of course, he pitched the final game of the Miami series. He would have loved to have seen deGrom and Hamilton, maybe the top two candidates for rookie of the year, going head to head.
Well, Hamilton's 23 years of age, 6 foot, 160 pounds. He's slight. Switch hitter.
I mean, there were never questions about his ability to run. There were never questions about his defense. But a lot of people questioned whether he would hit enough to stay in the big leagues, and especially in that leadoff spot. And he has. Strike three called. Colon finds the inside corner for the first out. Well, it's hard to compare apples and oranges, pitchers and hitters, but there are the numbers for the two we perceive to be the two top candidates in the Rookie of the Year battle.
Well, it's going to be tough to get past Hamilton with the 55 stolen bases.
Here's Todd Frazier.
It's just too bad that deGrom had that unlucky start when he was 0-4 and pitched so beautifully.
I have to say, though, Keith, that these days the people who vote for these awards look less and less at one-loss records and look into deeper numbers.
I don't particularly agree with that, Gary.
Well, I'm just saying, those are the people who vote. Frazier pulls one foul. I mean, they'll look at that 2.87 ERA. They'll look at his walks and strikeouts a lot more than they'll look at his one-loss record.
Well,
and that's to his benefit.
If he's 7-6, 13 decisions. If he was 12-3, yes, that's a consideration. 11-4, yes, I think wins are what it's all about. And an ERA. An ERA is important too, Gary. Some guys have years where they go 12-5 and have an ERA of 4.50. They just get runs. You put together some wins and have an ERA to back it up, yes. But he pitched in tough luck early.
Line into left center. Frazier's got a base hit. Lagares over quickly, cuts it off, and Frazier's going to try for two, challenging Lagares, and he's a dead duck. Got to read the scouting reports, youngster. I mean,
oh, don't chide him.
You got to be crazy to run on Lagares on a ball like that.
Yes, it was especially down 2 runs. And once again, nice hitting right here. Frazier having a terrific year. Look at Lagares cut it down. He has got such tremendous lateral movement, left to right. Perfect throw, one hop for Dilson. He just covers ground, but going back, coming in, left, right. Fabulous.
Most of this year, people have not been running on Lagares because his reputation precedes him. Frazier took a gamble and comes up empty. 2 out and nobody on. Devin Mesoraco, the batter. He's had a terrific year for the Reds. And he hits one in the air to deep left field. Back goes Dendecker onto the warning track, and it's out of here. Devin Mesoraco with his 22nd home run of the year. It is 21st in Baltimore last night and a 4-for-4 night. He has just had a superlative year. A breakout season for Mesoraco. And it cuts the Mets' lead to 2-1.
Forgot about the artillery after a home run. Scared the heck out of me. Hanging breaking ball. Oh boy, did he launch that big full swing.
That's an odd choice from Colon. How many first pitch breaking balls has he thrown all year? Here's Jay Bruce, and he hits a rocket, knocked down by Duda. Colon didn't cover, so it's up to Duda with the dive, and he got him. Colon never got off the mound, and so Duda was on his own and able to make the play in time to get Bruce. So an entertaining first inning. Lagares showing off his arm, Mesoraca his power, and Duda his diving skills. 2-1 New York as we go to the second. Second inning, 2-1 New York. Wilmer Flores leads off against Alfredo Simon, who took 35 pitches to get through the first inning. Flores has swung the bat well on this trip. 8 for 19 over the last 5 games, up to 242 for the year. Flores, Colon, and Lagares for the Mets in the second against Simon. They'll go out of play, 1-1.
Not a big crowd here for a Friday night in Cincinnati.
Well, their team has been sinking. The Reds just 15-30 since the All-Star break, and that's taken a little luster out of things. 1-2. Hit toward the gap in right center. Going back is Bruce. It's going to be over his head and off the base of the wall. Flores to second, and in standing with an opposite field double. 8th double of the year for Wilmer Flores. And the Mets pick up where they left off in the first inning.
Hanging breaking ball? Yes, sir. Flat, belt high, outer half. Saying, here, hit me. And Flores goes right with it nicely.
So a chance for Colon to bunt a runner up. Colon has 2 hits and 5 sacrifices this year. This is a guy you would think that you could run the wheel against. There's no way he's going to swing.
Yes.
The Reds play it straight up on that first pitch.
Well, both corner infielders are very aggressively in.
Keith, are you less likely to play the wheel when there's no force at third?
No, not necessarily. It depends on the runner. If you got a number one, you don't put a wheel on when you got a fast runner. So you only do it when you got a slower runner.
And Colon ready to swing the bat, takes a strike.
So with Flores, who's not fleet of foot, you could put it on. The problem is it's early in the game. You want to expose yourself defensively. because you do vacate a whole left side of an infield. There it goes. It's on.
They put the wheel on the third pitch. Interestingly, after Colon showed he was ready to swing.
That's probably because, well, he's not going to do it twice. Now you see what happens when you leave yourself exposed with the wheel. You open up, the third baseman's in, shortstop is vacating. It opens the whole left side of the infield. And early in the game, I don't like to use that, because then it can become a big inning.
Played straight up this time, and Colon swings and grounds one to Santiago. He'll go to third. Frazier with the tag, and Flores is out. So Colon, after seeing the wheel on the previous pitch, swung away. Terry Collins is going to come out and perhaps challenge the call at third base.
Now, because of the challenge, if there was no challenge in effect, nice play by Santiago here, and no fault of Flores, he's out.
And the Mets are going to challenge. Let's see. And they're going to win.
Oh, they're going to,
yep. He got his right foot in there before the tag, and the Mets are going to have first and third and nobody out if this call is overturned.
Oh, I don't know.
Harder to tell from that angle.
Yes, that's a.
Let's see over here.
He tagged his right leg.
Yeah, but the right foot appeared to be in before the tag. But the question is whether the evidence is clear and convincing. Paul Schreiber was convinced. He was the third base umpire who made the call, but the Mets spending an early challenge here in the second inning.
This one can go either way.
Yep.
Either way.
I'm with you.
And I have no gripe.
Well, it's a huge call, because if the call is overturned, instead of a runner at first, and that would be Colon with one out, you'd have first and third and nobody out with the top of the batting order coming up. So it just changes the entire nature of the inning.
Right.
I like the play by Santiago. I thought it was very aggressive.
But he kind of lollipopped the throw over there. He had to put a little mustard on it.
And Frazier, of course, was retreating to the bag after playing a few steps in on the bunt, or what they expected to be a bunt. Tough one. It's a tough one, because his right foot bounced before it hit the bag. You see how his foot bounces and then comes up and hits the bag?
That's not the angle, because his leg gets in the way. That's inconclusive.
This is the one I think that shows it best.
It's whether, but still, did he graze his left knee?
Well,
that's inconclusive.
That's the question. Because if the tag on the right thigh was the only tag, then I think he's safe.
Right.
But if there was contact before the glove got to that right thigh, perhaps he's out.
So this one's going to take what, 3 minutes, 4 minutes?
It's already been a longish review.
And you know what?
Play under review brought to you by Mazda.
If there was no challenge rule, Terry wouldn't even have been out.
No, of course not. No, but at this point, any close play as a manager, you're doing a team a disservice if you don't at least come out and give your replay coordinator a chance to take a look at it and give you the thumbs up or the thumbs down.
I just don't like the delays in the game.
Well, the fact that it's taking this long tells you that the guys who are looking at it in New York are trying to split hairs.
It means there's doubt. So what I'm saying, if there's any doubt, then you can't overturn it.
That's the way the rule is. Clear and convincing is what you need. Is this clear and convincing that he's safe?
You just don't know if he tagged the knee.
And they have overturned the call. The Mets win the challenge.
Wow.
So they did split hairs. And the Mets will have first and third and nobody out. You see the foot hits the bag, and unless he hit that left knee, then it is the correct call. So I would assume they'll score that a fielder's choice.
Yep.
Because he certainly would have had an easy out at first.
And he certainly didn't bunt, so it wouldn't be a sack.
So Mets up 2-1 in the second. Get a huge overturn on the call at third base. And now have first and third and nobody out with Lagares coming up. Juan struck out to open the ball game. Flores at third, Colon at first. They'll play behind him. And Lagares fouls off the first pitch fastball. So they do score at a fielder's choice. And the Mets in business after scoring 2 off Simon in the first. Lagares sitting 311 with runners in scoring position. That number's gotten better. 44 RBIs now for Juan. Dendecker on deck. Garza has spent most of his season hitting in the 6 and 7 spot in the batting order, but lately hitting up at the top. Chops one. Frazier with the grab. He's going to come home with it. Flores trying to get around the tag, but he's out. And that is the first out of the inning.
Well, when Juan gets a little more experienced, when a pitcher needs a ground ball, it's a righty-righty matchup for Juan. They're going to run that. If you got a sinker ball pitcher, that's their bread and butter. And you got to learn to get a little more selective, but not too selective. I don't want to sound like I'm a 230 hitter. But this is contact because it's a double play. That's why Flores is going, because they're playing back for 2.
Here's Dendecker with 2 on and 1 out. Takes a strike.
So the sinker gets under the bat. You just see right there.
Now that ball was not hit particularly hard. Did Frazier have a chance to get a double play had he opted to do that?
He did the right thing because he had the guy at home. Depends on your ball club. This is the ball club you talked at the top of the show, Gary. That top of the game. That team that hasn't scored runs. So you don't want to give up a lot of runs. Now, if you're an offensive dynamo, then you go for 2. So you go down 3-1 in the second inning. So what? We'll get it back.
Well, now you're counting on your pitcher to work out of what is still a 2-man-on situation, as opposed to giving up a run and having 2 out and nobody on.
This is the correct play by Frazier.
And nowhere for Flores to go as Mesoraco properly blocked the plate after he got the ball. And Flores, who could have run him over had he chosen to, chose not to. As just about everybody is choosing. Dendecker takes low and away. It's the part of that block rule that every player seems to have completely forgotten, which is that if the catcher has the ball and blocks the plate, you can run him over.
Yes, you can.
But nobody has.
Well, yes, it's become, tea party now out here.
Well, it goes back to, I think, what we've talked about a few times, that they changed the rule to take away what has really become a non-existent problem. Strike 3 called. Dendecker caught looking. That's a big second out for Simon. His 3rd strikeout.
I don't know what Dendecker was thinking there. I think he had this is right down the middle. It's a split finger. But look at this. Nothing. Didn't move. Oh well.
Well, I mean, if you're a hitter, the rule with the splitter is if it's knee high, let it go. But if it's waist high, I mean, you got it.
Yeah, but sometimes they throw you a helicopter that doesn't break.
So 2 out, 2 on, and here's David Wright, who singled into right center, stole a base, and scored a run in the 1st. And he hits one through the hole. That's a base hit. Colon will have to stop at 3rd. He'd have to stop anyway, but Jay Bruce has a great arm, so you're certainly not going to challenge him. And now the Mets have the bases loaded for Duda. So David is 2 for 2. After his 0 for 5 strikeout performance on Wednesday.
Well, you can't expect Colon to score on this ball. Boy, with Bruce out there and Wright charging, Colon doesn't run well. It's just like, hang with them. You wish you had a little jackrabbit out there to score for you.
So now the base is loaded for Duda. Colon at 3rd, Lagares at 2nd, Wright at 1st. Duda struck out on a splitter his first time up. Mets have hit 3 grand slams this year.
Simon does not throw left-handers in enough. He's trying to come in now, and look at that, he misses on the outside corner. If you don't establish inside, it's anybody. When you've got that split finger as a weapon, you've got to keep hitters honest with the fastball in.
Nice block by Mesoraco. Got the chest protector on that to flatten it. 1-1.
Very nicely done.
Mets are already 3 for 9 in this game with runners in scoring position in the first 2 innings. Got 5 hits, a walk, scored 2 in the first, but left 2 in scoring position. And trying to avoid doing the same here. 1-1 to Duda.
Boy, he's all over the place.
Imagine if Duda played 81 games in this ballpark, how many home runs he did.
Oh, yeah. A lot of guys I can imagine. Give you a laundry list of retired players.
Adam Dunn loved hitting in this ballpark.
Oh, I bet. Yes, he did.
Here's the 2-1. That's inside, and now Simon with the bases loaded behind on Duda 3-1.
Simon just takes a long time to throw. He walks around the mound.
Well, he's had a lot to ponder with base runners galore in these first 2 innings. Well, you have to figure he's going to get a fastball. You can't throw him a splitter on 3-1, can he?
Well, he can. If he wants to pick his poison, if he wants to go after d'Arnaud.
Well, bases are loaded.
That's what it's become now. Behind the count. And he went after him. Good fastball upstairs.
Good cut by Duda. Now a full count.
Good cut, just under it.
So now the merry-go-round will be in motion. Colon at third, Lagares at second, right at first will all be running with 3 and 2 and 2 down. It's trying not to bypass this opportunity after getting a call reversal in their favor. Three-2 from Simon to Duda, and he walked him to force in a run. Colon can walk on in, and the Mets have a 3-1 lead. Lucas Duda's 78th run batted into the season. Second walk of the night for Simon, and this one cost him a run.
Simon's very, very uncomfortable.
Jeff Pico, the pitching coach, is going to go out to the mound.
Throwing inside to left-hand hitters with the fastball. So Colon finds a way to score again. The easy way.
He did find his way home. That's all you ask. Jeff Pico, the pitching coach for a manager who used to be a pitching coach. Brian Price, the first-year manager of the Reds. They let Dusty Baker go despite making the postseason 3 of the last 4 years, and the Reds having their worst season in years. Simon's now thrown 58 pitches, still trying to get through the second inning. Bases remain loaded for d'Arnaud, who had an RBI single for the Mets' first run. The inning began with a double off the bat of Wilmer Flores. A run is in, bases loaded, 2 out. And d'Arnaud pops one foul.
d'Arnaud's been attacking a lot of first pitches.
Well, the Reds bullpen will get to work. J.J. Hoover, who was one of 10 players that the Reds recalled when the rosters expanded. A lot of extra arms, so you don't have to watch your starter struggle quite as long. Ball and a strike to d'Arnaud.
Boy, Simon is all over the place. Catcher sets up in, he throws away. Sets up away, he throws in. He's heading for a very, very early shower.
Lagares right and Duda the base runners. Here's the 1-1. Bounce foul. And now d'Arnaud down to the count 1-2. Well, the Mets have been scoring over these last 4 days. They've averaged 6 runs per game in their last 4. Trying to fight out of the year-long offensive doldrums. Mets are 11th in the National League in runs scored. The Reds are 13th. And since the All-Star break, these two teams have been the 2 lowest scoring teams in baseball. 1-2 to d'Arnaud. And the curveball hit weakly to short. And Santiago sweeps it over to Phillips to end the inning. But the Mets add a run and lead it 3-1 in the second. By Chevrolet, proud sponsor of the New York Mets. Alfredo Simon working on his spikes. He's had a lot to work on the first couple of innings. Mets with a 3-1 lead as we go to the bottom of the second. Brandon Phillips will lead off. As Keith noted, Phillips missed a little more than a month after undergoing thumb surgery, and he has really struggled since coming back. In 15 games, hitting just 138, 0 for his last 20. And Brian Price, the Reds manager, even said yesterday that maybe Phillips had come back too fast. Pops this one up, shallow right center. Out goes Herrera. Can't quite make the over-the-shoulder catch. And Phillips is aboard. Nice effort by Herrera, trying to make a Brandon Phillips type play on Brandon Phillips. So the Reds have a leadoff base runner, a pop fly single for Phillips, and now Brian Pena, who has been the backup catcher for the Reds this year, getting more and more playing time in other spots. He's had a nice year, but he has cooled off lately, just 3 for his last 34. Pena, switch hitter, much better left-hand hitter than right, hitting .268 with all 7 of his home runs, all 5 of his home runs from this side of the plate. And he takes a strike at the knees. Phillips doesn't steal bases like he used to, only 2 this year. Ground ball toward the hole. Herrera can't get to that one. Phillips will go first to third. Granderson's throw across the diamond, not in time. And the Reds have first and third and nobody out. So a pop fly just beyond Herrera's reach and a ground ball just beyond Herrera's reach.
Well, little sinker, changeup away, pulled, and they're always going to challenge Granderson first and third. And this ball is very fortunate David picked it because Colon wasn't backing up. And he doesn't hesitate. The scouting reports know that Granderson does not have a great arm. Forced the issue. Nice play by David. That had a runner scoring and a runner on second base. So that got by him.
So the tying runs are on base with nobody out. Jason Bourgeois will be the hitter. Bourgeois, a September call-up, has had just 6 at-bats. Journeyman, right-hand batter, and takes off the plate for ball 1. Bourgeois, 32 years old. He's with his 6th different major league team. Saw him with the Astros a couple of years ago before they moved to the American League.
Pena just getting no lead at first base. I know you don't run well.
Right back to Colon. Tries to sweep with the glove and can't make contact. Everybody's safe and a run is in. Well, it was a comebacker and looked like the most routine of double play balls, but Colon didn't handle it, and then didn't handle it well after he tried to chase it down.
Well, Colon had two ways to go with this. If he picked it, he could have got the lead runner, Gare, or gotten 2. Ball hit hard. I can see him missing it. And with the speed of Bourgeois, just doesn't get it done. And this looks like it's shaping up to be like... Phillips is going to break on. No, he didn't break on contact. And that's going to be ruled an error, and that's a tough error, don't you think?
It's an error, and did they give him an RBI or not? They did give him an RBI? Okay. So now Ramon Santiago, the number 8 hitter, takes a strike. So it's an error and RBI for Bourgeois. It's a 3-2 Met lead with 2 on and nobody out.
This game is kind of shaping up like that first game in Miami, Gare.
6 error game. Well, normally Colon fields his position very well, but he has failed to field his position on 3 separate occasions now already, only in the 2nd inning. In the 1st inning, he didn't cover first base on Jay Bruce's ball that Duda knocked down, and Duda had to dive for the bag. He didn't back up third base on the base hit to right field by Pena a moment ago, and now unable to handle the comebacker for an error. Santiago playing for the Zach Cozart, who just got back from the birth of his first child, and he's got a thumb injury. They're hoping Cozart will be able to play, wrist injury, excuse me. They're hoping Cozart will be able to play tomorrow. Santiago, the longtime Detroit Tiger, has had a lot of at-bats against Colon and done well against him. He's hitting .423 against Bartolo in 26 at-bats. Switch hitter. And he takes it high. Much better right-hand hitter than left.
And we'll take a quick look at the Mets defense, brought to you by Lexus. As usual, we got the whole crew out there. Herrera, Flores, the new keystone up the middle in the infield. That's of note. Dendecker getting a lot of playing time in left.
That's the full screen Mets defense. We haven't seen that one for a while.
Yeah, I kind of like it.
2-1 to Santiago. And he lines one to right. It'll stay up for Granderson. Tagging at second is Pena, but he's very slow. He's not going to move. So one hard out for Colon.
This is another shaping up to be a tough outing for Colon here. And this is a ball out over the middle. Too much plate and up. That's when Colon gets hurt.
Well, that's the hardest hit ball in the inning so far. Phillips hit the pop fly that fell in for a hit. Pena found a hole for a hit. Bourgeois hit the comebacker that Colon made the error on. Now one out, first and second, and David Wright's going to come into the mound for a little confab as they talk about bunt defense with Alfredo Simon at the plate.
You have signs. I guess by the time this game's over, the way it's going, the cows will be coming home.
Well, this is Cincinnati. I'm sure the cows are already home. Simon has 5 hits and 5 sacrifices this year. And Colon thinking about a pickoff try at second is.
You got a truck horse at second. Why even worry about him? He's got no lead.
And Flores again had gone to cover the bag at second as that pitch missed outside.
Just put Flores right behind him and watch Pena's lead. He takes no lead. It's going to have to be a perfect precision bunt to get him to advance him.
That's playing the bunt defense straight up. And Simon takes below the knees, and Colon's behind 2-0. Simon spent most of his career in the American League or as a relief pitcher, so he's not had many at-bats prior to this year. Lifetime .097 hitter. And he bunts it. Colon will have to go to first with it. If Duda's able to make that, he probably has a play at third, but once he got it past Duda, the sacrifice was successful.
Well, I said it had to be precision perfect. It wasn't perfect, but he gets it by Duda. Let's see if Duda's hugging the line. No, he did everything. He could have had that ball a little backhand.
So 2 out, runners at second and third. By the way, they have taken away the RBI for Jason Bourgeois, which is proper because Phillips was not breaking for the plate on that comebacker. So no RBI for Bourgeois.
I agree. If you're going to rule it in there, you cannot give him an RBI.
Well, because if Phillips had been breaking on contact, maybe, but he wasn't. So it's the right play. Here's Hamilton. And he takes outside ball 1. Hamilton has done remarkably well in RBI situations for a guy who doesn't have much of a hitting background and is the leadoff hitter. He's got 46 RBIs this year, 299 with runners in scoring position. Base hit here could give his team the lead. And Colon quickly behind 2-0. Run is in here in the second. Pena, a very slow runner at third. Bourgeois, a fast runner at second. And Todd Frazier waiting on deck. Wright playing in at third, Duda back at first. And Hamilton foul tips one, 2-1. Billy Hamilton, 2 years ago in the minor leagues, stole 155 bases. That was in one season. 155 bases in a 5-month minor league season.
I remember when Vince Coleman, back in the day with the Cardinals coming up in the farm system, was the guy that stole a lot of bases, and where you were hearing about. You very seldom hear about minor leaguers.
Slap to third. Wright plays the short hop and throws out Hamilton to get Cologne out of further trouble. So the Reds managed just one. 3-2 New York as we go to the third. Four tickets for just $48 to all games through September 17th. To purchase 4 field level tickets for just $48, get to Mets.com/DeGrom. Curtis Granderson takes a strike as we start the third inning. Mets up 3-2. Granderson contributed an RBI double in unusual fashion for Curtis. He hit it just inside the third base bag to drive in a run in the first inning. Granderson dropped in the order and gets himself an opposite field extra base hit. Alfredo Simon has had to throw way too many pitches early in this game. Gets ahead on Granderson 1-2. Mets with 3 runs and 5 hits, and they left the bases loaded in the third after leaving 2 in scoring position in the first. And Granderson goes after the splitter, and he is made quick work of. 4th strikeout for Simon, and 1 down in the third. Well, the Giants have jumped all over Rick Porcello. Big series starting in Detroit tonight. Giants 2 games back in the NL West. Detroit 1 game back in the AL Central. First time they're playing since they met in the World Series a couple of years ago. Giants have won 7 of 9 to get within 2 games of the Dodgers. The Tigers have been going the other way. The Giants are still in the #1 wild card spot in the National League. Detroit is in the 2nd wild card spot, but just a half game ahead of Seattle. So they are right on the brink. Dilson Herrera flied out to right his first time up. Wilmer Flores on deck.
Milwaukee going in the tank rapidly. They've lost, what, 9 out of 10?
9 in a row.
Jeez.
Little tapper down to third. Frazier at the bag. The quick toss on a hop gets away from Pena and bounces into the stands, and Herrera will get second base. Frazier playing that very casually, and Herrera winds up in scoring position.
Not much of an arm there at all. Frazier didn't make a real powerful throw. He's got momentum coming in. That's just not a good play there at all.
Well, the Reds have committed the fewest errors of any team in the National League, but Frazier has the most for Cincinnati, is 14th. It'll be a single for Herrera and an error on Frazier, moving him up to second. So each team has now made an error tonight. Flores will try and cash it in. Wilmer hit a long double to right center to get the Mets started in the second. And takes a fastball on the inside corner, 0-1. So Wilmer now has a 6-game hitting streak, 9 for 20 over that span. Best stretch he's had since he's taken over the everyday shortstop job. Fights one off, and it's 0-2. Colon on deck after scoring a run in the second inning. Every Colon trip to the plate or around the bases is an entertaining venture. Broken bat. Frazier has it. Herrera breaks for third. That throw, and Pena able to stay on the bag. Made the stretch, as Frazier didn't make a great throw that time either.
Boy, oh boy. I mean, it's 5-3 on your scorecard, but it's a pop gun he's got there for an arm.
Nice job by Pena staying on the bag.
Flores can do that all he wants. He's in his way. You can run him over.
It's a big guy to run into, though.
Yes, it is. But you're blindsiding him.
Colon hits a slow bouncer. Another chance for Frazier. And this time his throw is perfect to end the inning. So the Reds work around the error by Frazier. Mets with a 1-run lead as we go to the bottom of the third. Open their season against the Raiders with a constant flow of up-to-the-minute news and opinion, plus fan discussions, player profiles, and exclusive video on Jets blog, featured on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports.
They're everywhere.
Met fan has made his way to Cincinnati. That's a big glove. Sunglasses at night.
He's styling. Uh-oh, Mr. Mad Hat.
Well, we've been looking at big series. How about the St. Louis-Milwaukee series? Keith mentioned the Cardinals have won 6 straight. The Brewers have lost 9 in a row. And they probably got their best bet tonight. And Mike Fiers has come up late and pitched brilliantly for Milwaukee against John Lackey. Brewers tied with Atlanta for the second wild card spot, a game and a half in front of the Pirates. The Pirates, who just got swept by St. Louis, had their game suspended with the Cubs today, 3-3 in the 6th. They'll finish it tomorrow.
Cubs have had a lot of rain.
The Cubs have played very, very well the second half of the year. In fact, they start the day only 2 games behind Cincinnati as the Cubs try and get out of the basement where they have settled all year.
There's a Met fan.
Left-handed Met fan. Near and dear to your heart. Home third inning.
We're a member of the same club.
The left-handed Mets.
Yeah.
Now, if he's wearing 17 on his back, we'll know he has good taste. He's got a Granderson jersey. That's okay, too.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Todd Frazier leads off for the Reds in the home third against Bartolo Colon. Frazier had a base hit to left center his first time up, then made a large error in judgment, challenging Juan Lagares, that threw him out at second by a healthy margin. You know, we talked about Billy Hamilton and Jacob deGrom as far as the Rookie of the Year race is concerned. That's line past the glove of right, and Frazier has his second hit of the night. He'll settle for a single this time.
He rips this ball. 2 shots off the bat of Frazier early in the game here. Just out of the reach of David. Ball hit too hard.
So the Toms River native, who made his first All-Star team this year, has his second hit of the night. And Devin Mesoraco steps to the plate. Mesoraco hit a bomb into the seats in left field, his 22nd home run of the year in the first inning.
Hanging breaking ball, first pitch.
And a first pitch fastball, foul tipped.
The first pitch of the at-bat to Mesoraco, a hanging slider, and you hit the ball here, you can rest assured it's going to go out.
Mesoraco, 26 years old and having a breakout year. 22 home runs and only 333 at bats, so he is right up among the National League leaders in at bats per home run. Of course, 2 of those guys ahead of him, Tulowitzki and Holt, only played part of the year in the big league.
They shouldn't be. They should be scratched.
Basically, he's second to Stanton, all guys who've been around all year. Mesoraco missed some time early in the year with shoulder and hamstring issues, but the Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania native, who hit a home run yesterday, naturally hit a home run today because, you know, Groundhog Day.
Is that what it is? You're up on everything.
You know Punxsutawney Phil.
Yes, I do know Punxsutawney
Chief Groundhog.
Yes.
And you know Bill Murray and Groundhog Day live the same day over and over. So there you go.
I got to see that movie again. I've seen it sporadically in spots.
Great. 2-1 to Mesoraco with Jay Bruce on deck. It's not going swimmingly for Colon. He gave up the home run to Mesoraco in the first, made an error in the second that led to a run, even though the run wound up being earned. Coming off a start against the Phillies, it started well and finished very poorly. And now he falls behind Mesoraco 3-1. The game against the Phillies, first 3 innings, he looked fine. In fact, the first 4 innings, a couple of good defensive plays in the 4th, but then gave up a home run to Marlon Byrd in the 5th, and then just couldn't stop the bleeding in a 5-run 6th inning and was knocked out of the game.
And he was hit hard in that inning, if I recall.
3-1 to Mesoraco, and he lifts this one to left. Might have broken his bat. Dendecker is there, and that's the first out of the inning. Frazier back to first, 1 out. If you're just joining us and you're wondering why the Reds are not wearing substantially red tonight, it's not the color on your set. It is Irish Heritage Night in Cincinnati, and the Reds are going for the green.
That's right. It's not St. Patty's Day either.
So you see this in spring training all the time. Teams wearing green caps, green bases. It's a little unusual on the 5th of September.
Or it could be Christmas.
With the red helmets. Jay Bruce takes a stride. Bruce grounded out his first time up. Jay Bruce has been the biggest conundrum for the Reds this year. He's a good young player, right at the start of the prime of his career, 27 years old, 30 or more home runs, 97 or more RBIs each of the last 2 years, and he has just fallen off the table this year.
Well, a lot of times, Gary, Votto's been out, and all of a sudden, Brandon Phillips is not having the year he's having. He hasn't come back from the DL well with the thumb, and it's put on you for the first time. Some guys can do it. Some guys have a tough time adjusting. And he had knee surgery also, but I don't think that's an issue.
Just a torn meniscus. That was back in May.
But all of a sudden, you got a little more responsibility in that lineup. Put a little more pressure on yourself.
Dendecker with a couple of putouts in the inning. 2 out with Frazier back to first. So Bruce is retired. And now Brandon Phillips. Phillips had a pop fly that fell into right field for a base hit in the second inning and came around to score a run. That snapped an 0 for 20 skid for Phillips. The 4-time Gold Glover is now 33 years old, and his numbers have dropped this year, even before the thumb injury. There was a very interesting article in the Cincinnati paper, might have been yesterday, talking about the Reds' future. Some people have looked at this Reds season and they've said, well, they had a lot of injuries, particularly to Votto. If they keep the team intact next year, they should be fine. And there's a whole nother school of thought which says, you know what? The core of this team has been together for a while. Phillips, Votto, Bruce, Johnny Cueto, Aroldis Chapman. Maybe it's time to blow it up. Taking off early is Frazier, and Colon throws him out by a mile to end the inning.
Jeez.
So Frazier took off with Colon still on the rubber, and Bartolo handled it perfectly. It's a 1-4 caught stealing to end the inning. After 3-2 New York. Elevated to the manager's job his first year as a big league skipper, and things have not gone well for the Reds after they made the postseason 3 of the last 4 years. Third time around the batting order as the Mets come up in the 4th. Juan Lagares has struck out and hit into a fielder's choice 0 for 2.
You know, Garrett, and interesting that you just showed the Brian Price, and you mentioned last inning about this team being together a long time, and they were together under Dusty Baker. And, you know, whatever you people want to say about Dusty Baker, and he's a friend of mine, and this is just purely It has nothing to do with my friendship. It's just my professional opinion. Everywhere Dusty's gone, he's won. He's one of those guys that gets it, that can move with the different generations and communicate. He's a player's manager. I think with this veteran ball club here, he was loved by players. He's been loved by every team he's managed, and his personality is infectious. That's why he's a friend of mine. I think it's been a big adjustment for this team.
Well, the knock on Dusty was that he didn't win in the postseason. The Reds didn't. They lost in their first round, whatever that was. Last year they lost the wild card game to the Pirates. Before that they lost in the division series, but they did win over 90 games and get there 3 out of the last 4 years. And I think the Reds had every expectation that they would be a contending team again this year. 1-2 coming to Lagares, and that's low. Brings us to our Toyota tweet of the game. Which team do you think has had the most disappointing season? Send us your ideas at #SNYTweet. You know, that's an interesting question because you can look at it different ways.
Right.
You can talk about teams that you expected to contend that haven't, like the Reds. Maybe the Red Sox. Grounded up the middle, and that's a base hit for Lagares. The Mets out the leadoff man on to the 4th. Or you could talk about teams that maybe were expected to dominate, like the Dodgers and the Tigers, who have had winning records and may well be in the postseason, but haven't dominated the way they were expected to.
Well, I've looked, and we talked about it when the season started, and I felt all the teams in the National League Central had taken a step back. I'm on the record with that with you, and therefore I can't put them into that list of most disappointing. I have 3 teams that I feel are the most disappointing. Had the most disappointing seasons in all of baseball.
There's Den Decker who's walked and struck out, and he fouls one away.
You want me to reveal them?
Sure.
I would say the Red Sox.
Right.
I would say Tampa.
Well, Red Sox, let's start with that. You win a World Series, you don't expect to finish last the next year.
Right. You go last the World Series, now back to last. That's unusual. I think Tampa's had a very disappointing season. They've been a non-entity, and I think the other team is Detroit.
Now, Detroit is 14 games over 500, so
I know.
What were your expectations?
Them to run away with the Central.
Well, what about the Dodgers? I mean, everybody expected them to win 100 games, and, you know, they're in first place, but hardly dominating the way people thought.
Something is, they got a talent-laden team. To me, I'm not going to put them in that category. This is about what I expected from them. And the Giants are always overachievers. And that's quite a race, actually, in that West right now. 2 games. That's a beautiful race. And Kansas City's got to be the biggest surprise, huh? Do you feel?
I would say that because they haven't been in the postseason in almost 30 years, they're surprising. But I would say that the Orioles are even more surprising. The fact that they're 25 games over 500.
Okay.
I mean, I did not expect that.
I felt that Baltimore was the best team in the East, and it wasn't that way the first half of the season. They started rolling. They got into swing around June, July. They started getting into the swing. Kind of took control of the division.
They're up 9.5 games.
They're rolling.
1-1 to Den Decker. He fouls off another one. The other team, until they hit this 9-game losing streak, you have to say that Milwaukee was a very surprising team, sitting in first place from, what was it, the 5th of April until just the last few days.
And if it was just a 130-game schedule, Gare.
They needed a strike.
You know, they've fallen from grace.
Well, their pitching I never thought was good enough to go the distance. And if they didn't have Mike Fiers bailing them out the way he has the last month, who knows where they'd be. Taking high 2-2. But there's something about the Cardinals. I always expected them to rise to the top. I know you thought the Pirates all year, but
the Cardinals are taking command again.
They seem to make the adjustments on the fly to make it work, and they've had a lot of things go wrong for them this year. 2-2 on the way. Pulled down the right field line, just foul. Nice catch by the ball boy. A sharp one-hopper.
I mean, if we're looking at it right now, if the Braves don't watch out, they may not make it. Then they're getting clobbered by Miami tonight. 6-0. You got those two top teams now. They're San Francisco, Atlanta, and Milwaukee. Milwaukee in free fall. Atlanta sputtering. Giants are going to get in one way or the other.
Oh, the Giants are 3 games up on the field in the wild card. Then you got Milwaukee and Atlanta tied for the 2nd spot, with the Pirates a game and a half out. So that's a pretty good race.
Yep. I still think the Pirates might eke it in there as the second wild card team.
Well, the Mets will play the Braves down the stretch, so they'll have something to say about whether Atlanta will make it. Atlanta's such a weird team. I mean, really. They got shut out 3 times in 4 days this last week. Chopper, Simon off the mound. He'll have to go to first and almost waited too late. He took a glance at second where he never had a play and almost lost the play on the speedy Dendecker at first.
Well, he fields his position like the amount of time he takes in between pitches. Everything's in 3rd gear. And boy, oh boy, he almost got himself in a world of trouble. Not a great stretch by Pena, who's not a first baseman, so we'll cut him some slack.
So Lagares now at second with 1 out. David Wright the batter. Mets up 3-2 in the 4th. 85 pitches now for Simon with 1 out in the 4th inning. Reds had bullpen action as early as the 2nd tonight. David Wright 2 for 2 and twice has gone to right and right center. He's stolen a base, he's scored a run, and the curveball settles in for a strike. Ryan Denick, left-hander, a September call-up, up in the Reds bullpen. Ball and a strike to right. So David had those 3 games where it looked like he had broken out, went 6 for 13, had the tough game on Wednesday, but was bounced back with a good start to this game. Hit the ball hard to right center his first time up, found the hole on the right side his second. 7 hits now for the Mets against Simon. And it's on the inside corner, a strike 1 and 2. Here's City probables for the remainder of the series. 4 o'clock game tomorrow. Dylan G against Johnny Cueto, who in any other year would be a front runner for the Cy Young, but not in Clayton Kershaw's year. Zach Wheeler goes Sunday against Matt Latos. Zach will be trying to bounce back from a difficult start in Miami. One of the few that he's had over the last 3 months.
Well, 16-8 with a team under 500 and not scoring runs. That's outstanding. In an era now, the part of the game now where there's hardly any 20-game winners anymore. It's not the benchmark to be a 20-game winner. You're just not around.
1-2, and that's in for a call, 3rd strike. David caught looking. First time he's been retired tonight. 5 strikeouts now for Simon. Is that a high splitter?
Yes. It followed a fastball inside for a strike.
Yeah, you see the split grip.
Yep.
So 2 out, first base open. They're going to walk Lucas Duda intentionally and work instead to Travis d'Arnaud. Really a lefty righty consideration here, because right now d'Arnaud's swinging the bat better than Duda is. Lucas drew a bases loaded walk to force in a run in the 2nd inning, and now he'll get the intentional pass.
And d'Arnaud has been, since he's come back, he's gotten some good 2-out RBIs. He's hit well in this situation with 2 outs. Toughest out RBI is always the 2-out RBI.
He had the exact same situation in the 1st inning, and d'Arnaud lined a base hit to left to drive in the Mets' first run. And he'll come up with 2 out and 2 on again. Travis then batted with the bases loaded in the 2nd, and he grounded into a force play to end that threat. Lagares at second, Duda at first with 2 down. Mets up 3-2 in the 4th. On this road trip, 7 hits and 14 at bats. And the first pitch breaking ball drilled to deep left. That is out of here. A 3-run bomb off the bat of Travis d'Arnaud.
The Reds walk Duda to pitch to d'Arnaud, and d'Arnaud makes them pay big time. Home run number 13 for d'Arnaud, and a 6-2 Met lead in the fourth. Out of the frying pan and into the fire.
3 straight at bats. d'Arnaud jumping on the first pitch.
And the car wash is operation.
Well, I stand corrected on his pop. This is a season, if he's playing all year long, he's going to hit 20+ home runs. Oh boy, hanging. You deserve that one.
So both young catchers have homered to virtually the same spot tonight. Mesoraco with nobody on, d'Arnaud with 2 on. Granderson grounds out to end the inning, but the Mets get one big swing from Travis d'Arnaud. 13 home runs for Travis, more than any other National League rookie. One hanging breaking ball later, Simon finds a world of trouble. 6-2 New York as we go to the bottom of the fourth. Bartolo Colon now with a 4-run lead as the Reds come up in the bottom of the fourth. Brandon Phillips blooped a single and scored a run in the second. He was at the plate when Todd Frazier took off early and was thrown out by Colon trying to steal to end the third inning. Ball and a strike to Phillips. Brian Pena on deck. Jason Bourgeois behind him. It's not gone all that easily for Colon so far tonight, but you know, he sometimes has a knack for settling in.
Well, he's one of those pitchers. He hasn't got it tonight. He's a little up all over the plate. He's falling behind a lot of hitters.
Flores one-hands the grounder. Throws out Phillips, one away. Infinity brings us this date in baseball history. It was on this date in 1976 that Joe Morgan became the first second baseman in 26 years since Bobby Doerr to drive in 100 runs in a season. For more on Joe Morgan, let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Yeah, Gary, Joe Morgan, who's back here as a special advisor to the Reds, he's recently spearheaded a fantastic thing here in the city of Cincinnati. And 2 weeks ago today, it opened up. It's a 33,000 square foot facility called the Cincinnati MLB I'm sorry, MLB Urban Youth Academy is the full title, and it's something that the Reds and Major League Baseball have partnered up to create something in the inner city to drive more interest towards baseball for kids. And we've heard it here over the last few months and really the last couple of years about the waning interest across America in the game of baseball, and this hopes to correct that. And basically what Joe Morgan was telling me today when I had the chance to talk to him before the game is that baseball, in his mind, has become too much of an elitist sport. He said back in the day, you just grabbed your mitt, grabbed the ball, grabbed the stick, and went out and played baseball with your friends down the block. It's no longer like that. It's a very, very suburban sport, $250 for a mitt, $300 for a bat. And so because of that, you're seeing absolutely no interest in the inner cities. This aims to change that. Again, 33,000 square feet, both indoor and outdoor facilities, and free baseball for kids up to 18 in Cincinnati.
I think Joe makes an excellent point. It's become a very expensive sport for kids to play, especially now with the travel teams and all the things you have to do to embrace the sport as a youngster. As Pena finds the middle of the diamond and gets it through for a base hit, so Brian Pena's 2 for 2. By the way, Joe Morgan in that 1976 season, his second consecutive most valuable player award.
And prior to that, Johnny Bench had won 2 years in a row with the Reds.
For 76, the year the Reds swept the Yankees in the World Series.
Joe was the one of the greatest players I ever played against, by far. And it's high praise because Ryan Sandberg's a beautiful second baseman, but Joe Morgan was the best second baseman I ever saw.
Let me just give you this. He had a lot of great numbers with Cincinnati. Here's a 6-year stretch from 1972 to 1977. His on-base percentage in those 6 years: 417, 406, 427, 466. As this one's hit out to center and Lagares is there. 466, 444, and 417. That's a 6-year span. It's unbelievable.
It is, and a little guy too. Joe could field. He was set free when he got out of the Astrodome in that big trade. That there was a multiplayer deal with the Astros. Or it might have been the Colt 45. It was the Astros then.
Yeah.
And he came into his own. He walked a lot. Had a great eye at the plate. He hit third in that lineup. He stole bases. He was everything. He was just a great player.
That was a trade after the 71 season that helped fuel the big red machine, because not only did the Reds get Morgan in that trade, they got Jack Billingham, who was their best starter for a long time, and a Gold Glove center fielder in Cesar Geronimo.
Right, and they gave up Jim Beecham. Tommy Helms was in that trade for the Reds going to Houston. And Lee May. Was Lee May part of that trade?
Lee May, Jimmy Stewart, yeah.
Yep.
There's a lot of players, but the Reds got 3 big pieces, with Morgan being the biggest. Ramon Santiago takes a strike.
Right. The Reds got the better end of the deal, and there's Joe with the top hand, top elbow flapping all the time. He had such a terrific eye.
He did that to remind himself to keep his elbow out.
Okay.
And it worked for him.
Whatever it takes. Joe's a Bay Area kid. Grew up in Oakland, I believe, Joe.
2-1 to Santiago, lined out to right field his first time up.
Willie Stargell from Oakland, I believe. It's a great group of players that came out of that Oakland, East Bay. Right across the Bay Bridge.
Too high. 3-1. Pitcher spot due up next. Donald Lutz has come out on deck to pinch hit. If Santiago keeps the inning going. Pena at first with 2 out. 3-1 to Santiago, and it's inside, ball 4. So the Reds have 2 men on, and that's the first walk given up by Colon, who's been the best control pitcher in the National League this year. 1.1 walks per 9 innings.
Gary, Keith, just a little more about this Urban Youth Academy program that Major League Baseball has going. The one in Cincinnati that just opened up, it's actually the fourth of its kind. There's one in Compton, there's one in New Orleans, and one in Houston. And already it's kind of reaping the benefits of bringing these inner city youth to play baseball and teach them baseball. Actually, Mets' first-round pick in 2013, Dominic Smith, he was a product of that Compton Academy.
Well, anything that baseball can do to bring baseball back to the inner city and encourage more African Americans to play is definitely to the sport's benefit.
Yes, it is. It's a negative that we have a dearth of African Americans not playing this game. I can read a laundry list of great players. I'm sure all you fans out there don't need to hear that from me.
Colon will face Donald Lutz as a pinch hitter. Lutz, a September call-up, was with the Reds earlier this year. He had 37 big league at-bats this year, hitting .216. Lutz, when he came up last year, became the first German citizen ever to play in the major leagues. There have been plenty of players born in Germany because, you know, American kids born on military bases and the like. But Lutz, who was actually born in this country, born in Watertown, New York, grew up in Germany. Colon throws the high fastball by him, 1-1.
So he didn't play soccer. Or maybe he did.
Well, he might have, but chose baseball.
Could have been a three-sporter.
Maybe he wasn't good at the header. Colon trying to wade his way through this fourth inning. He's yet to have an easy inning. And it's 2-1 to Lutz when we see Colon up much more than we're accustomed to.
Never. He's deep into pitches too.
Easily the league leader in fewest walks per 9 innings. One of the few categories that Kershaw is not number one in. He's second. How did the Mets go all season without facing Kershaw?
They did.
They did indeed.
It can happen when you only play one series home and away.
Lutz takes a swing and misses, and it's 2-2. Pena at second, Santiago at first with 2 out. Lutz batting for Alfredo Simon, who's done after 4 innings, allowed 6 runs and 8 hits. The big blow, a 3-run homer off the bat of Travis d'Arnaud, who's got himself a 4 RBI night working. 2 on, 2 out, 2-2 to Lutz. And now ball 3. Billy Hamilton, the on deck batter. Colon just walked Santiago. He had not walked a batter to that point. In fact, he had only one 3-ball count before he walked Santiago. Now he's 3-2 on Lutz. Pena at second and Santiago at first will be running. And Lutz fouls back the high fastball.
No, Lutz has got a big, strong kid. Takes a big rip. Fast bat.
25 years old. Had his first big league experience last year. Home runs in the minor leagues this year. Again, the 3-2 struck him out. Colon throws one by Lutz to end the inning. Only the second strikeout of the night for Bartolo. He strands a pair in the 4th. It's not been the most dominating night for Colon, but he's found his way. 6-2 New York as we go to the 5th. They have more years to celebrate than any other professional franchise. Professional baseball began in Cincinnati in 1869. George and Harry Wright and their unbeaten team. That's when everybody else decided it would probably be wise to pay their players too. You see the World Championship banners.
Well, remember there's J.J. Hoover, the new pitcher. 10 losses. Wow.
In just 47 appearances. He was with the Reds most of the year, got sent down about 2 weeks ago and called back up on the 1st of September. Dilson Herrera leads off against him and takes a strike. Herrera had an infield hit in the 3rd. Flied out in the 1st, 1 for 2 on the night. Mets with 6 runs and 8 hits off Alfredo Simon, who lasted just 4 innings tonight and is in danger of falling to 1-7 since the All-Star break. It's got 2 in the 1st, 1 in the 2nd, and then the 3-run homer from d'Arnaud after the intentional walk to Duda in the 4th. Herrera swings through the fastball, and he's out on strikes. There's the first out in the 5th.
So got under this one. He's swinging hard and mighty, and he needs to do what he did when he first came up, and that's just hit line drives. Hit that home run, Gare. I think that, that's impressive, that home run he hit in Miami.
Right.
He pulled it, and then he got the double down the right field line, triple, and I said, oh my goodness, he's not affected by it. But I've always said home runs are very intoxicating.
It's the siren song of the 4-bagger.
That's right. Don't bring her up, Cersei.
Flores is 1 for 2. Hit a long double to right center his first time up.
And he gets a hold of one deep left field. Forget that. That's way out of here. Into the second deck. Wilmer Flores with a long home run, his 3rd of the year. And now it's 7-2 New York.
Well, a couple of real shots. One off the bat of d'Arnaud, and now Flores outdoes him, hitting it in the second deck.
Number 3 of the season. Oh, they're all been hangers. How about that? And this is a bomb.
That one's out in Flushing.
Yes. It just seems the ball goes further when it's spinning like a breaking ball. Don't ask me why.
Well, you have all that time for your eyes to light up.
The key is let the ball break into your bat. Don't overswing. Get the old wristies in there and watch it go out.
The old wristies, huh?
Yes. It's a beautiful thing when it's hanging like that, Gare. Right on it.
So a double and a home run from Flores tonight. 431 feet, the estimate on that second deck home run. That's prodigious. Were you watching on Wednesday when Neuenhuis hit the one in the second deck in right center in Miami?
Fastball right down the pipe, and he crushed it.
Nobody hits him there.
He crushed it. Well, he's a big, strong kid. He gets his pitch, and he tags it. That's what he can do.
3-2 to Colon. He has a big hack at it and fouls it back. You think Bartolo's thinking long ball?
No. I think Bartolo right now is saying, I don't have command of my pitches. My team has given me lots of runs. Got to find a way to get a W.
Pena near the railing has enough room. And Colon will go back to the dugout. That's the second out.
Well, watch the full extension of the arms, which means it's out over the middle. Because Flores, you can see, does not stand close to the plate. So that is really what we call a helicopter right there.
For Hoover. That's the 11th home run he's allowed in 56 innings this year.
And this is a guy that's had 2 good seasons with the Reds. Last year he had 69 appearances, a 2.86 earned run average.
We've gone backwards this year. 11 homers in 56 innings. That's hard to live with.
Getting those L's tacked on too.
Probably those two things are related. 0-2 to Lagares, who had a base hit up the middle and scored a run in the 4th. 1 for 3 on the night, getting his 4th at bat in the 5th inning. You know you're having a good night. 1-2.
We'll take a look at the motion of Hoover. The glove doesn't really have the glove's way away from his chest. I can't get used to the green.
Well, you'll only have to watch it tonight. Tomorrow they'll be back.
He should have been in red and just had the shamrock on the shoulder of the green. That would have been nice.
Well, this way they have another piece of merchandise for the fans to purchase. Always follow the money. Lagares hits it down to third. Frazier plays the up hop and throws him out to end the inning. But the Mets tack on a run on a bomb of a home run off the bat of Wilmer Flores. A hanging curve hit into the second deck, 431 feet away. Flores is third of the year, and the Mets have a 5-run lead halfway through. Night presented by Dwayne Reed following the Mets game against the Nationals at 7:10. For tickets, visit Mets.com/fireworks. Third time around the batting order for Bartolo Colon. Billy Hamilton tries to bunt his way on. Right with the bare hand, has no play.
Wow.
Knew it. Hamilton with blazing speed and coming out of the left-hand batter's box. No chance once he got that bunt down.
Well, what a weapon. And he's not really even leaving, like running to first base. He's just so blistering fast. And that ball's not even down the line and not even close to getting it.
Some scouts have said that Billy Hamilton is the fastest player they've ever seen.
Really?
Just sheer speed. They've clocked him going first to second in less than 3 seconds.
No.
Yep.
Hit hard. David Wright with a beautiful pickup, but he can't secure it. and has to settle for the out at first. Well, it would have been a double play had he been able to get it from glove to hand. But he gets Frazier at first as Hamilton moves to second.
Third shot off the bat of Frazier in this game. Nice play by David. It's just an exchange. That was a double play.
So he was able to stay calm enough to get the out at first. And now Devin Mesoraco will bat.
7-2 lead. At least want to get one.
Okay, it's 7-2 in the fifth inning. You've got the league's best base stealer. Is he shut down at this point, or do you try and get one? Mesoraco flies one out to shallow left. A long run for Dendecker, but he gets there for the second out. So Mesoraco flies out on the first pitch. Well, he's in some very elite company, Billy Hamilton, with the 55 steals.
That's not close to Vince Coleman, is it not?
Since Chucky Carr, nobody's stolen more than 56 in a year as a rookie, so if he gets two more, he'll be in territory that hasn't been occupied in over 20 years. But Coleman's got the rookie record. And,
no one's close. And I remember '85. Vince Coleman was such havoc on the bases.
I believe, if I remember correctly, he was successful his first 50 attempts against the Mets. And then Mackey Sasser finally threw him out. Jay Bruce rolls one down to first to foul ball.
Of all of our catchers to throw him out, Mackey Sasser throws him out.
Well, remember Hamilton last September came up and nobody had caught him until Juan Centeno threw him out. He was the first one ever to catch Hamilton. Now Hamilton's success ratio this year is not particularly good. 55 steals. He's been caught 21 times. That's about 72%, which is not great. So still trying to figure out how to pick his spots. I mean, in the minor leagues, with his speed, all he had to do was pick a pitch, run, and he was going to beat it every time. Now, teams are keeping him close, throwing fastballs, and got to figure it out.
Right. Vince Coleman played on that AstroTurf too. It was so tailor-made for him. Used to take big leads at first, Garrett. Big, aggressive, intimidating leads.
What you just said, though, reminded me of something. Vince came to the Mets as a free agent in '91, signed a big contract, and never performed particularly well. And he made a really ill-advised remark at one point because he was so used to playing in St. Louis. He talked about playing in New York, and he said that playing on the dirt and the grass at Shea, as Bruce pops one up, he said Pete Flynn was keeping me out of the Hall of Fame.
Really?
That's what he said. I mean, come on. I think you'd rather have that one back, don't you think? Pete Flynn, of course, was the longtime Mets groundskeeper. Silly stuff, right? Colon gets through 5, so he's got enough innings to qualify for a win. So he gets Bruce to pop that one up. 7-2 New York after 5.
shouldn't answer it before we ask it. We'll ask the Verizon trivia question for tonight. The 5 players in Reds history who've recorded 2,000 or more hits for the Reds.
Okay.
Which, you know, that's pretty impressive considering the Mets have no players in their history who've recorded 2,000 hits for the Mets. So they've got 5.
Well, we know one, Pete.
They've been around a long time.
Veda.
You want to let the folks at home
Clue?
Try and guess? You can give them as many clues as you want. You can just give the entire answer away right now if you'd like. But just thought it might be more fun for the folks at home if they got to figure that out for themselves. Matt Dendecker drags a bunt. Dennick, the new pitcher, with a great play and throws him out. Ryan Dennick in his second big league game. A left-hander who managed to get off to the right side of the mound to make a diving play. Good play.
This is an athletic play here. Just a little bit harder. Just didn't get it by him. That's a heck of a play by the pitcher, Dennick.
You see so many lefties fall off to the third base side. Dennick did not, and that served him well.
Well done. That's a heck of a play. That's supposed to get by.
It worked for him on Wednesday when he dragged a bunt in similar fashion for a hit. Not this time.
Beautiful.
David Wright is 2 for 3 tonight. Despite all his other troubles, David continues to put up big numbers against left-hand pitching, hitting .361 against lefties this year. The Mets 7 runs, 9 hits. The Reds 2 runs and 7 hits. 27-year-old Ryan Dennick making his second big league appearance. And David drives one to right center field. That's down for a base hit. Bruce does a nice job to cut it off, and he'll hold right to a single. But David Wright with his 3rd hit of the night, and they've all been to right and right center.
So David feeling dangerous again tonight. Nicely ripped into right field. And that's where all of his hits have been going, so he's firmly locked into going the other way, and that's the only way you can get out of a slump.
So now Duda, who was intentionally walked in the 4th inning, with first base open and a right-hander on the mound, and then Travis d'Arnaud followed next pitch with a 3-run homer. Now it's Duda against the lefty Dennick, and he takes the breaking ball inside.
Well, I like the fact that he's staying more level with his swing, not the big uppercut.
One to Duda. With all the strides that Lucas has made this year, the lefty is still a problem. Duda hitting .165 against lefties with 1 home run in 91 at bats. Pops this one up. Third baseman Frazier taking charge, and that's the 2nd out. Well, we talked about it earlier. Now we're going to show it. The historic throw by Mackey Sasser to gun down Vince Coleman after Vince had stolen 50 in a row against the Mets.
A guy that couldn't hardly throw back to the pitcher, Mackey Sasser. He got one there.
Elster with a tag, and Vince incredulous. You mean I'm out? Really? Must have been Pete Flynn's fault. Here's d'Arnaud, who's having a big night. RBI single, 3-run homer, his first 4 RBI night. 13 home runs, more than any National League rookie. Right at first and 2 out. Curtis Granderson on deck. Travis's brother Chase, his older brother, was a September call-up for the Pirates. Chase has been in the Pirates farm system for a long time, mostly as an infielder, but this year they made Chase d'Arnaud an outfielder. Had one catch that made all the rounds. It was spectacular, going over the fence to rob a home run. And so both d'Arnauds are now in the big leagues.
Line center field, base hit for d'Arnaud. His third hit of the night. Wright pulls in at second. So Wright and d'Arnaud each with 3 hits.
Well, I like d'Arnaud's progress. That's a tough pitch right there. Good sinker down and away. No intention of pulling after hitting the 3-run home run his prior at bat. Showing good plate discipline.
So 2 out and 2 on for Granderson. Dropped to 6th in the order tonight. Had an RBI double going the other way in the first. Since then he struck out and grounded out, 1 for 3. Logan Ondrusek, the big sinker baller, up in the Cincinnati bullpen. And Granderson behind on the count, 0-1. Had a situation developing in Detroit. We showed you earlier about the Giants taking a big lead early against the Tigers. That game is in the 4th inning, and they've got a lot of rain in Detroit. They've stopped the game, and of course with only 3 innings having been played, if the game doesn't resume, those 6 runs would be wiped out. You have to figure they would.
And it was
stay
the
all night.
Giants earlier in Wrigley Field that protested that game, if you recall, Gare, and won the protest.
Right, because of the tarp malfunction.
Right, and they had a lead.
Now, the Giants also had a game in Colorado that was suspended, but that's because the game was in the 6th. There was a game in Chicago today that was suspended in the 6th with the Pirates. They'll finish tomorrow, but 3 innings having been played, by rule, if it gets rained out, those 6 runs disappear and they have to start all over again. And obviously every game is huge for the Giants. They're 2 games behind the Dodgers.
Yeah, they're on a roll too.
Now Denick behind on Granderson, 3-1. Dilson Herrera on deck. So they have to figure if Granderson gets on, we'll see the right-hander to come in to face Herrera. Time of year when managers can make as many pitching changes as they want with these September call-ups.
3-1 coming, and Granderson cranks one to deep right field. Forget that. That is way out of here. A 3-run bomb for Curtis Granderson. The Mets' 3rd home run of the night. A big blow for Granderson. He's got a 4 RBI night, and the Mets now lead at 10-2.
Well, that's been a long time coming. Number 17 for Granderson. Dropped in the order tonight, and he's responded in a big way.
Well, maybe it took the pressure off of him, Gare. That's a fastball right down the pipe. Straight as a string, and he crushes it. So putting him down in a 6th spot in the order, and a less pressurized spot in the order made the difference. We'll see.
Curtis's last home run was that leadoff home run he hit against Dan Herron in Dodger Stadium. And he got all of this one.
Full extension, right down the middle. Boom. It's not easy.
Well, the Mets have come to this home run haven, and they found it to their liking. d'Arnaud, Flores, and now Granderson have all gone deep.
Herrera, backhanded, deep in the hole. Santiago, not in time. Herrera beats it out for an infield hit. 2nd hit of the night for Dilson Herrera.
Nice to see Dilson get a couple hits. He's been struggling a bit.
Yeah, that's going to be all for Denick.
What, he can't get a second out in a 10-2 game? Can't get a final out?
He's given up 4 hits and 3 runs here in the 6th inning. So Denick will leave, and they'll bring in the right-hander Ondrusek to face Wilmer Flores. Mets have opened up a 10-2 lead in the 6th. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. We'll be right back to Cincinnati. relationship between Mets players and the media. From the challenges to the intense competition, see what it takes to cover a team in the New York spotlight on Mets Insider, presented by WB Mason, Sunday at noon, only on SNY. Veteran right-hander Logan Ondrusek on in relief for the Reds.
8th appearance since coming off the disabled list on the 18th of August. You see his numbers there. Had a strained right shoulder and was on the disabled list for 5 weeks.
Comes in to face Wilmer Flores, who homered his last time up. Hit one to the second deck in left field. He also has a double. Wilmer 2 for 3. Mets having a big offensive night in Cincinnati. Herrera at first. They're playing behind him now in a 10-2 game. Bartolo Colon is out on deck. He's been the beneficiary of all this home run power tonight. Flores hits this one out to right. Playable for Bruce. And that retires the side, but the Mets break this game completely open. Curtis Granderson dropped to the 6th spot in the order, and he responds. An RBI double, and now a 3-run homer, his 17th. And the Mets lead 10-2 in the 6th. Brandon Phillips will lead off for the Reds. Between innings, Billy Hatcher, the Reds' first base and outfield coach, having an animated conversation with Jay Bruce.
Was he supposed to catch that home run?
Well, on the home run that Granderson hit, Bruce didn't react. It's almost as though he didn't see it, and I don't know, maybe only guessing here, maybe Billy felt he wasn't paying full attention. In any event, Met fans who have made their way to Cincinnati have plenty to be happy about tonight. So does Bartolo Colon, who hasn't had his best stuff by any means, but now has an 8-run lead. Brandon Phillips hits one out to center. Lagares is right there waiting for it. One pitch and one out in the home 6th. Well, there were a couple of big pieces of news in baseball today. One of them rather shocking, one not. Ron Washington resigned as manager of the Texas Rangers for what are being deemed personal reasons, and he did not elaborate, and he asked that his privacy be respected. But everybody in the baseball community, I'm sure, wishes Wash all the best. He is a beloved figure around baseball. Terry Collins was talking about Wash and how they played together in Albuquerque back in the 70s, and was one of his best friends. They're having a terrible year this year in Texas, but Wash has obviously done a tremendous job there during his tenure. So hopefully whatever it is that has forced Ron Washington to resign is something he's able to resolve and get back in the game. Brian Pena 2 for 2. He pulls one foul. The other piece of big news, not unexpected at all. Kevin Towers let go as Arizona's general manager. Tony La Russa had taken over a position of authority there, and everybody figured it was only a matter of time before Towers was given his walking paper.
It's like ancient Rome when who was going to come to power after Caesar's death. That wasn't going to last long.
Dendecker over in the gap, and he runs it down off the bat of Pena for the second out. Boy, with Dendecker and Lagares in that outfield, not much is going to get by.
Well, remember what Terry Collins has always said. He, particularly when they had the experiment with Lucas Duda in left field, it was Lucas didn't belong out there in left field, and it was apparent. And Terry always said when he made the changes that we need guys in our ballpark to catch them, particularly in the outfield.
Well, I don't know what's going to happen in the offseason, whether the Mets are going to pick up an outfielder. That remains to be seen as Bourgeois grounds one to Herrera. But if this configuration stays next year, then you got to figure Dendecker is going to move to right and they'll move Granderson to left.
Yeah, it's a better arm.
After 6 in Cincinnati, 10-2 New York. The 1973 League Championship Series.
Oh, Rusty.
The Mets upset the Reds. Rose and Harrelson with the fight. Rusty challenging the wall. And Tug McGraw
Getting out
of the way after recording the final out in Game 5. There I am, right there. Right there.
Yeah, you are tearing
See
the field
me?
up. You hooligan.
Bartolo Colon takes a strike as we start the 7th. That's when hooligans were in fashion. Colon is 0 for 3 today. They say have a starting pitcher. Anytime you get 4 at bats, you've had a good game. Well, here's Colon's 4th at bat. Didn't look like he was going to last this long the way the game began, but he's been able to settle in and take advantage of a Reds team that appears to have no interest. Colon takes a call 3rd strike for the first down. Well, the Mets have gone deep 3 times in this game. Log on to SNY.TV/Dwayne Reed to print out your coupon for great savings at Dwayne Reed and Walgreens. 2 home run challenge, 3 home run challenge. Maybe there's more. Here's Lagares, 1 for 4 on the night. Singled and scored back in the 4th. And takes low from Logan Andrusik, the 4th Cincinnati pitcher. Alfredo Simon started, went 4 innings, allowed 6 runs, 8 hits. J.J. Hoover worked an inning, gave up a home run to Flores. Ryan Denick, 2/3 of an inning, 3 runs, 4 hits. And now Andrusik, who got the final out of the 6th, staying on for the 7th. The Mets and Reds started play today with identical records, 66 and 74. Of course, the Reds have fallen backwards to get to that point, whereas the Mets have kind of been toddling along at this level all year. 2-2 to Lagares. If the Mets win tonight, they'll have a better record than Cincinnati for the first time all season. Last year, the Reds won the 2nd wild card in the National League, won 90 games. The year before, they won 97. Hit hard. Frazier with a nice one-hand pick. And throws out Lagares, 2 out. Brian Price, a first-year skipper. His team has struggled under his leadership. There are some of the other first-year skippers. The Cubs have turned it on late, and Rick Renteria has done a nice job with that young team. Brad Ausmus taking over in Detroit, an almost thankless situation, replacing Jim Leland. Boy McClendon in Seattle, they've had a fine year. And Matt Williams, you'd have to say, took over at the right time after the Nationals had such a disappointing year last year.
And it took a little while for him to fit in there. That team caught on late and kind of took charge of we were waiting for Washington to take charge.
Nats are up 5-2 on the Phillies tonight in the 7th behind Steven Strasburg. They started the night with a 7-game lead on the Braves. Dendecker pops one down the left field side, and that'll go out of play. I've always felt, Keith, and I don't know whether you feel similarly, that it's very hard for a coach on a certain team to take over as manager of the same team. That you have a certain relationship, player, coach, that sometimes it's difficult for a manager to then assert himself. And I always think back to Buddy Harrelson, who was a great coach with the Mets, but never was able to exert the authority as manager that you'd like to see.
Well, I think it depends on the individual. I think particularly ball 4 there to Dendecker, who's shown a good eye at the plate here in the 2-hole. Particularly in today's game, where I think the coaches, I don't know how to explain it. The coaches are diminished is not the right word.
They don't have as much authority as
they don't have as much authority as they used to have. Now, Buddy was just, Buddy was a nice guy, a nice, easygoing personality. I wasn't here when Buddy took over, so I don't know. But certainly, I feel strongly that the coaches don't have much power, so it's a lot more difficult, I think, in today's game, particularly with the players making so much money, and there's not enough authority figures. Coaches, to me, were every bit as scary as a manager when I played.
Of course, managers don't have as much authority as they used to. They get a lot more dictated to them by the front office. And I don't think that's any secret. That's become more and more the norm in Major League Baseball. David with a 3-hit night takes a high pitch to.
I remember when I came up, George Kissel was the bench coach, who was a minor leaguer. Vern Benson was a minor leaguer. I was third base coach. I didn't. Barney Schultz was the pitching coach. He obviously pitched for the Cardinals and the Cubs. But the coaches have as much authority. David's had a nice day.
There's the 4th hit of the night for David Wright. That one will go to the wall. Bourgeois plays the carom. Dendecker being waved home. No relay throw. It's an RBI double for David Wright. And the Mets keep adding on. It's now 11-2. So a 4-hit night for David after a 4-strikeout day on Wednesday. Just baseball.
It's
nice to have speed at the top of the order. Lagares and Dendecker here getting a double. You want those guys in the top of the order. They've got to score. Let's see the pitch, fastball right down Broadway. And David tattoos it. And it's just, I mean, you got to tailor your lineup with speed at the top. It's just such a huge difference.
So the Mets now with 11 runs and 14 hits. Wright with a 4-hit game. Here's Duda, who's walked twice, one of those intentional. I'm not going to intentionally walk him here. The last time they did, and Darno hit a 3-run homer. The horse well out of the barn now at 11-2 in the 7th. The Reds yesterday played in Baltimore. They were down 6-0 early in the game, came back to tie before losing 9-7. So they got whacked around yesterday and again tonight.
Lucas having trouble with the off-speed pitches again and breaking balls in the dirt chasing. So when he got red hot and made that big rush, he was attacking those pitches and taking them if they weren't good to hit and laying off the bad breaking ball. So he's fighting through it.
Well, he has seen very few fastballs over the last 10
He's getting
years.
nothing but junk.
Travis d'Arnaud on deck. Well, it's really, you think back, it's the same thing that Ike Davis had to deal with when he had his 30 home run season. All of a sudden they threw him nothing but junk, and he never adjusted. Mm. 3-1 now to Duda. Tomorrow, game 2 of this series. It's 4 o'clock start. We'll be with you at 3:30 on SNY. Dylan G pitches against Johnny Cueto. By the way, for David Wright, that's his 20th career 4-hit game, and he's never had a 5-hit game. Might get a crack at one today. And there's ball 4, and Duda walks for the 3rd time tonight. Second walk of the inning issued by Andrusik, and another opportunity for Travis d'Arnaud, who's already had himself a huge night. Daniel Corsino up in the bullpen for the Reds.
d'Arnaud, who's got 4 ribeye steaks tonight, has been the recipient of all this pitching around Lucas Duda. He's been getting up with the men on base, and he's delivered.
3 for 4, an RBI single, a 3-run homer. They walked Duda to get to him in the 4th, and this is what happened.
Hanging curveball, and he stays in, and that's the one he pulls. The hanger is the one you're going to get the barrel out. I like him, his line drive hitting. After that, he got another base hit his next at bat, right up the middle off the left-hander. He's a line drive hitter. He's going to hit his home runs. He's got pop. There's no question. But this is a guy has potential to hit 300 and be a real tough 2-strike hitter. And he's had a terrific year with men in scoring position with 2 outs.
He's driven in 4 tonight. He's scored 2. Bats here with 2 out and 2 on, and Andrusik goes low and away for ball 1. Mets have homered in each of the last 3 innings. d'Arnaud's 3-run homer in the 4th. Flores a solo shot in the 5th, and then Granderson, the 3-run homer that broke it open in the 6th. Mets all of a sudden are crushing. .35 runs now in the last 5 games, including tonight. Two and 1 to d'Arnaud. Three and 1.
Jeez.
So Andrusik has already walked 2 in the inning, wrapped around the run scoring double by Wright. He had retired the first 2 before he walked Dendecker. And Wright's double, a walk to Duda. Now he's 3 and 1 on d'Arnaud. And Travis has a chance to get something very fat. Granderson on deck. Garneau got the good cut, but fouled it back 3-2.
Good cut on that fastball away.
Milwaukee has jumped out to a 2-0 lead on St. Louis. That game's in the 5th. Mike Fiers, again, he has been just a godsend for that team.
He may not be enough, though.
Nope.
They're fading.
Trying to snap a 9-game losing streak tonight. Runners get set to take off. Right at second. Duda at first. 3-2 coming to d'Arnaud, and he walked him. Bases loaded. So 3 walks in the inning issued by Logan on Drusick. 6 tonight for Reds pitching, and what has been a strength in recent years for the Reds has not been this year. They strike out a lot because of Aroldis Chapman, but second to last in the league in bullpen ERA.
Got to drop an Elstinkowski on this one.
Ryan Price is going to make a pitching change. You got Granderson coming up. Looks like he'll make a double switch and bring in a lefty to face Granderson. Mets have added a run here in the 7th. They lead 11-2. Drusick will exit. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Wise. Will come into play first base. He'll bat 9th. The new pitcher, Daniel Corsino, will hit 6th. Just his 2nd big league appearance.
Well, Dominican Republic looks good with the Shamrock. That's all I can say.
Corsino worked as a starting pitcher in the minor leagues this year, AA and AAA, mostly AA. Went 10-12, a 4.24 ERA. That's of the bases loaded and 2 out. Already leading 11-2 in the 7th inning. d'Arnaud just reached base for the 4th time tonight. David Wright has 4 hits. d'Arnaud 4 RBIs. Granderson 4 RBIs, a double and a 3-run homer. And the move to the number 6 spot in the batting order, at least for the night, is agreeing with Curtis. Devin Mesoraco having an equipment issue, which is why we are waiting for Mr. Corsino. And here's Mesoraco's figured it out. So 24-year-old Daniel Corsino comes into a mess after Logan Drusick gave up a double and 3 walks here in the 7th.
All that with 2 outs, too. He got the first 2 batters.
And Granderson, who had a 3-run homer his last time up, takes inside ball 1.
Well, like I've always said, Garrett, when you play these 2nd division teams and you play 3 games, you know why they're 2nd division teams. In this case, we haven't even played a full game.
Off-speed pitch by Corsino, and it's in a 1-1 count to Granderson. Dilson Herrera would be next. And Curtis bounces one down to first, a foul ball. 1-2.
So I just noticed, Garrett, the new first baseman, Hanahan.
Right.
He's showing his socks. Why don't they have green socks? If they're going to do the green, they should have green socks.
They don't have green batting helmets either.
But they were the red legs when we were a kid growing up. You know, they weren't the reds. They were the red legs. You do remember that?
I do. Then it became the 50s, and it became, you know. Here's the 1-2. Lifted foul. That's why they became the red legs. They were the Reds. Then all of a sudden, being a red became something people did not aspire to.
That's true.
With Mr. McCarthy and all that. That's when they became the red legs. And then when it was safe to be a red again, then they became the Reds one more time.
For better or worse.
Kids, if you don't know what I'm talking about, study your history books.
The Glory and the Dream. William Manchester. Strongly recommended.
1-2. Off the outside corner. 2-2. It's a lopsided game, but this is another big at bat for Granderson, who's trying to shake a long-term slump, and he grounds one over the bag. Hanahan stumbles but stays with it and gets the out to end the inning. That's it, and 1 run in the 7th. That'll take us to stretch time in Cincinnati. 11-2.
That hit the bag.
Did it? On which team has had the most disappointing season. Let's see what you have to say. Worst to first, the Red Sox. First to worst.
No argument there.
And, well, the Rangers, I mean, they do have the worst record in baseball. They have been, I mean, just devastated by injuries all year. But at 53-87, that's certainly a legitimate team to pick. Well, Bartolo Colon has settled down and threw 13 pitches in the last 2 innings. He had a rocky beginning to this game, but since getting the big lead, the Reds have kind of given away at bats, and Bartolo has taken them happily. Santiago is lined out and walked, and he pops this one up into shallow left center, and Lagares over. 1 out. Jack Hanahan will be coming up for the first time, and for the second time, here's Steve Gelbs.
Well, Gary, a lot of talk has been here around the team over the last 2 weeks about Bartolo Colon and how he's handled this whole situation with his mother passing away, and in the meantime coming back and forth and really not missing any time here with the Mets. The talk has been about what an influence he's been on the younger players and what they're seeing with how he's handled this. Now, throughout the season, he's really been a great influence on the young pitchers, especially the Latin guys. And I was talking to Jay Reese Familia a little bit about that earlier today. And what Familia told me is, if you remember, that first month of the season was not great for the Mets reliever. And at one point, Bartolo Colon pulled him aside and he said, listen, pal, because I throw 88 miles an hour and I throw my fastball 90% of the time. You can touch 100 and you look like you're dotting around the plate. You're really not going after hitters. He says, throw your fastball. If people hit a home run, tip your cap and move on. And Jarice said it was that conversation that really changed his whole approach to things. He said, I just gained confidence in what my pitches could do, started throwing those fastballs with authority, and didn't worry if anybody hit him. His ERA that first month of the season, 4.66. Since that time, sub-2.
Well, the value of veteran leadership and experience. And it's paid off there. That's a great insight right there.
1-2 to Hanahan. And he pops one up. Does every at bat look the same these last few innings for the Reds?
There are things of beauty, Gare.
2 out. I mean, that's 4 putouts for Lagares in the last 6 batters, all on pop-ups.
Cruise control for Bartolo. Here, hit it. I got 8 gloves out there, basically what he's telling young Familia, and now showing it in this Wago.
2 out and nobody on. Billy Hamilton had a bunt single in the 5th inning, and the Mets are giving it to him. They're not even bothering playing in. And he takes a strike. The Mets 11 runs and 14 hits. The Reds 2 runs and 7 hits. It was 3-2 New York after 2. But then Darno's 3-run homer in the 4th changed the nature of this game, and Colon has been cruising ever since. Kansas City beat the Yankees 1-0 tonight. James Shields 8 1/3, 3 hits for the win. The game ended with Carlos Beltran taking a call 3rd strike. Dendecker grabs it. 9 in a row retired by Colon through 7. 11-2 New York. in the ninth, so it looks like Washington will add a game to their lead. Up 7 when the night began. Well, Bartolo Colon really kicked it in gear once the Mets got a big lead and made it easy. The last 9 in a row he retired, and it took him a minimum of sweat to get there.
Well, he struggled early, Garrett, and you can see the pitches in the early innings. He really was behind the count a lot.
Dilson Herrera drives one deep left field down the line, and it's out of here. Dilson Herrera with his second major league home run, and the Mets' 4th home run of the night. 12-2.
Well, the Mets have come to this home run haven and taken full advantage. Herrera with his second home run in his first 27 big league at bats, and his 3rd hit in this game.
Quick bat, hanging slider again, Gary. Hanger stays back. Goodbye. He's got pop. Didn't rush out after it. Beautiful timing. Stayed back. Let the ball come to you. 3 hits for the night. And he came in here struggling.
2 infield hits and 1 that left the yard. Wilmer Flores has one of the Mets' home runs tonight. Now, Herrera hit 13 home runs in the minor leagues this year, and everybody said, "What, little guy hits home runs?" Well, we've seen it.
Got a fast bat. Joe Morgan was a little guy.
Jimmy Wynn wasn't that big.
No, the toy cannon. You're right.
Howard Johnson, little guy.
Yeah. Well, Howard wasn't. Yeah, I guess Howard.
5'10", 185 maybe. Flores lines one to left, and Bourgeois moves back to get it. 1 out. Well, tonight on Geico Sports Night, part 2 of Chris Carlin's sit-down interview with SNY's own Ray Lucas, who talks about his incredible life's journey. Here's a taste of tonight's interview.
When did you realize it was out of control?
You know the worst part of being an addict? You never know it's out of control. I thought I was fooling everybody. You know, I'm in pain, so I don't care what you say. It's not my fault.
Much more tonight, up close with Ray Lucas on Geico Sports Night tonight following the postgame. Eric Campbell will bat for Bartolo Colon. So Colon done after 7 innings, allowed 2 runs, 7 hits. In line for his 13th win of the year. Campbell continues to excel in a pinch hitting role. 7 for 20 pinch hitting. Daniel Corsino in his second big league outing got himself out of a bases loaded jam in the 7th. But then the home run to Herrera leading off the 8th. And the Mets with a 10-run lead. Buddy Carlisle up in the Mets bullpen. Both Josh Edgin and Daisuke Matsuzaka are here. That's lined in the left field, and Campbell's got another pinch hit. His 8th of the year. So the Mets just continue to rake.
Another hanging slider. Hit number 16 for the Mets tonight.
So 1 out and 1 on. Juan Lagares will get his 6th plate appearance. He's 1 for 5 tonight. Singled and scored back in the 4th. Mentioned Edgin and Matsuzaka are both here. They both got injections in their elbow earlier in the week and missed the Miami series. Terry Collins was not sure about the availability of either one for tonight's game. But I guess there's no harm in giving either one of them an extra day. Now, we saw Daisuke throwing in the bullpen a little bit earlier. The hat off Daisuke warm up, which means, you know, getting ready for something later on. Two and 0 to Lagares. The other key member of the Mets bullpen who's on the sidelines is Vic Black, and Vic is feeling much better, trying to come back from the neck problem he had. He's eligible to come to rejoin the team Monday, I think. I think there's every chance he'll be ready then. And Daniel Murphy's been working out, coming back from the calf injury. He's eligible to come off the DL on Monday. 2-0 to Lagares and 3-0.
That'll be interesting when Murph comes off the DL. Or they'll put him back in the lineup. Will they let Herrera play? Maybe against some left-handers. Who knows? I'd be very interested to see how the Mets decide what they want to do.
I think I'd be shocked if Murph is ready to play if he doesn't play. You know what I mean?
Well, you mentioned earlier they could put Herrera at shortstop.
They could, but you know they're trying to look at Flores at shortstop too. I don't know exactly what they're going to do, but I know from several standpoints that Murph's a veteran player. He's well respected in that clubhouse. He's had a great year. As Lagares skies one into left center, and Hamilton has it lined up. I think that it's hard to sit a guy like that down if he's ready to play. And the other piece about that is that if the Mets are grooming Murph for a trade, you'd like to boost his numbers as much as you can if indeed you plan to make a deal with him.
Well, I do believe I agree with you in the first part, the first piece. The second piece, I think Murph has a big enough body of work that people know what kind of player he is, what kind of hitter he is, what they're getting. I agree with you on the first part. That would be difficult to sit him down.
Ben Decker's walked twice, scored 2 runs. He's 0 for 3.
That being said, of all the young talent out here that the Mets are looking at and experimenting, I don't want to put Herrera on the bench. I like him. And if it means playing him at shortstop, if he can play short, put him at short.
Keith, I'm with you. I'd like to see Dilson Herrera play every day the rest of the season, so the Mets have a little better handle on whether he's ready to step into a full-time job next year. By the way, you saw Josh Satin on deck to bat for David Wright. So David will not get a chance at a 5-hit game, which he's never had. Meanwhile, Corsino having all sorts of trouble throwing strikes.
Well, it's called September. Second division September clubs, and all their call-ups, they're really AAA pitchers.
Well, that's the other side of the coin, right? They always say don't believe what you see in March and September because you're not playing the same level of competition, and that makes that problematic as that's grounded to the right of the mound, and Corsino makes the play himself to end the inning. All questions that'll be answered as we move through these final 3.5 weeks of the year. Mets up 12-2 in the 8th. 5 players in Reds history with 2,000 or more hits.
I got 4 of them, but I can't think of the. Oh, that's why it was Bid McPhee.
Now, you thought Vada Pinson.
No, he didn't. I looked in the book. Vada fell short. How about Tony Perez? He fell short. Tony went to Montreal.
He was more of an RBI guy than a base hit guy. Eric Campbell will stay in the game at third base. Get David Wright off his feet for the last 2 innings. Buddy Carlisle will pitch for the Mets.
Well, Carlisle has been doing a fantastic job. He comes in, he throws strikes. He'll pump in that fastball.
Carlisle pitched Wednesday, went 2/3 of an inning. Allowed a run on a hit. Todd Frazier, first man up against him. Frazier 2 for 3 tonight, and he takes up and away for ball 1. He's hit the ball hard 3 times. Had a base hit to left center, but Lagares threw him out trying to stretch. Had a base hit to left, but then Colon threw him out, taking off early. And they had a smash to third, and David Wright made the play. This one's deep to center. Lagares back near the wall. Out of here. Todd Frazier with his 24th home run of the year. So Carlisle greeted rudely, and now it's 12-3 New York. Reds' second home run of the night.
I'll wake up the neighborhood. What a night for Frazier. Fastball, of course. Right on it. I'm running out of room in the home run category here in my scorecard. It never happens.
Mets have hit 4 home runs tonight. The Reds have now hit 2. There's Mesoraco, who had the first one. A solo shot in the first. His 22nd of the year. Mesoraco's flied out to left in his 2 subsequent at bats, and he takes a strike, 1-1. Miami has won that game from Atlanta 11-3. No home run for Stanton tonight, but Marcelo Zuna went 4 for 5 and drove in 4. Jammed, he pops one foul. 1-2 to Mesoraco. So if the Nats win and they're up 7-4 now on the Phillies in the 8th, they'll have an 8-game lead in the National League East. Jay Bruce waits on deck. Bartolo Colon, 86 pitches in 7 innings, allowed 2 runs, 7 hits, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, a home run, in line for his 13th win. 2-2 to Mesoraco. Bartolo lowered his ERA back below 4. He's at 3.96. With probably 4 more starts to go. Carlos Contreras, another September call-up, getting loose in the Reds bullpen. By the way, for Colon, it's the 10th straight start in which he's allowed no more than 1 walk. That's the longest streak for a Met since 2001, when Rick Reed had 10 straight starts where he walked 1 or fewer.
23 walks on the year, 1 of them intentional.
Only 1?
Only 1.
That's an 179 2/3 inning.
That's on your Stratomatic card. He'll have no walks on his card.
So only the hitter will draw walks.
Correct.
Flores gets in front of that hard ground ball and throws out Mesoraco for the first out. Here's your upcoming schedule, brought to you by Heineken. 4 o'clock game tomorrow, 1 o'clock on Sunday. Then the Mets are back home for a long homestand. They will play 10 games on that homestand against the Rockies, the Nationals, and the Marlins, starting on Monday night.
Then it's off to one last road trip for the week, Atlanta and Washington, then back home against Houston.
Final 3 games against the Mets' old co-expansionists.
That's right.
Now they only get to play the Astros every few seasons in interleague play since they moved over to the other league. Jay Bruce 0 for 3 tonight, and he hits another fly ball to center. This one's playable for Lagares. 2 out. Lagares getting plenty of work out there. Nothing too hard, though. Here's your AT&T fan photo for tonight. And that's a cutie. Love the babies. Love the babies in the Met gear. Met fans for life starting early.
If they only knew.
What would you like to tell them? Here's Brandon Phillips, 1 for 3, a bloop single back in the second. The game in Milwaukee, the Brewers are sticking it to John Lackey. Milwaukee's up 6-1 in the bottom of the 6th as they try to snap that 9-game losing streak. Still waiting out that delay in Detroit. Boy, that's going to be a tough call. That's up to the league, you know.
Yep.
Hit hard, caught by Campbell. Side retired. Eric Campbell, first play at third base, no problem. Frazier's home run gets the Reds just a tad closer. Campbell with a nice grab. 12-3 Mets after 8. The Mets on cruise control. They've matched their largest offensive output of the year. Remember, they had a 12-run game at Yankee Stadium back in May, and they've matched that with 12 tonight. Daniel Corsino, who was a starter in the minors this year, has gone an inning and a third, and he'll try and finish it off for the Reds. Josh Satin will be the pinch hitter for New York. Satin batting for the pitcher, who was in the number 3 hole. Satin's had 1 at bat since returning from the minor leagues, at a hard line drive to right and was caught on Wednesday. A difficult year for Josh, who was a big part of the team coming out of spring training. Didn't hit, got sent down in May, and didn't come back up until the rosters expanded in September. It'll be Satin, then Duda and d'Arnaud for the Mets in the 9th. The Mets 12 runs and 16 hits. The Reds 3 runs and 8 hits. Mets trying to make it 3 wins and 4 games on this road trip. And
ouch.
Satin is hit by the pitch.
That hurts. That's on the wrist. Yep. Oh, that's right on that ulnar bone there on the wrist. Oh, it's underside. So it's the radius.
Right on. So the Mets get a leadoff base runner in painful fashion. Josh will get some ice on that once he gets back in. Due to the batter, Lucas has walked 3 times in this game, one of those forced in a run, otherwise 0 for 2. And the 24-year-old Daniel Corsino fires a fastball for a strike. Alfredo Simon was the starter, the Reds' all-star starter, who's had a rough second half, and it got rougher tonight. He will fall to 1-6 since the 1-7 since the All-Star break.
And he showed all the indications of why he's had such a brutal second half.
It just seemed like he was so reliant on his splitter in this game.
And he was throwing a tumbler, as we used to call this. The nothing splitter is a tumbler, just kind of tumbles and doesn't do anything.
Simon gave up 6 runs and 8 hits over 4 innings. Everybody who's pitched for the Reds tonight, though, has given up at least a run. J.J. Hoover worked an inning, gave up the Flores home run. Ryan. Oh, that one gets away, and down to second goes Satin.
I thought that I was watching off the monitor. Look at that spin.
Off Mesoraco's arm, so it didn't feel comfortable. So a wild pitch moves Satin to second. One-two to Duda. And he smacks one deep to center field. Hamilton back to the warning track at the wall. It's out of here. The Mets' 5th home run of the night. Lucas Duda with a 2-run shot, his 27th of the year. And the Mets, with their biggest offensive output of the season, now lead 14-3.
Well, that was off the fence in the back.
On an 0-2 pitch, Duda dead center.
Right down Broadway, crushed. Off the back wall.
That's some shot.
Yes, it is.
Juan Centeno now will bat for Travis d'Arnaud. So the Mets have hit a season high 5 home runs. They've scored a season high 14 runs. Centeno, who was a September call-up, began the season with the Mets.
Well, there it is, right on the fat of the bat. And Lucas has got to realize, and he's getting there, that there's not a ballpark that can hold him in any direction.
Centeno bloops one over short, and he's got a base hit. So Juan Centeno, who earned a measure of notoriety in this ballpark last September when he became the first catcher to throw out Billy Hamilton trying to steal, now has himself a pinch hit single. And the beat goes on. So the Mets have now matched their highest hit total of the year with 18. So most home runs, most runs, and tied the most hits in a game this season. Granderson, a double and a home run. He's driven in 4 tonight after being dropped to 6th in the batting order. d'Arnaud, a 3-run homer in the 4th. Flores, a solo shot in the 5th. Granderson, a 3-run homer in the 6th. Herrera, a solo shot in the 8th. And Duda, a 2-run homer in the 9th. 5 home runs in the last 6 innings.
Could be a lot worse. The Mets have left 11 men on base. This has just been a blowout and a hit parade.
Well, the Mets are not a huge home run hitting team. They came into the day 12th in home runs in the National League, but they have had themselves a field day here at Great American Ballpark. And it, you watch a game here and the ball just flies out of here. And the Mets have, most of their home runs have been real legitimate tonight, but Makes you wonder, how can the Reds be struggling so badly playing in this ballpark half their games?
I agree.
Anderson fouls one back. 3-2. The Reds struggling in every offensive category in the second half. Lowest scoring team in the major league since the All-Star break. The Mets were second lowest. May have pulled out of that spot tonight. Granderson down on strikes, and that's the first out of the inning. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by State Farm. Today's State Farm agent of the day is John Garfinkel of Brooklyn. Contact John's office at johngarfinkel.com. And by Lexus, introducing a car designed with one purpose, to stand apart. The 2014 Lexus IS. It's your move. Now Dilson Herrera, who's 3 for 5 tonight, including a home run in the 8th inning, his second major league home run. By the way, if you're wondering, the Mets' record for home runs in a game is 7. They did that in 2005 in Philadelphia. In that game in 2005, Jose Reyes hit 2 home runs. Victor Diaz hit 2 home runs. The others hit by Doug Minkiewicz, Mike Piazza, and David Wright.
I remember that group.
Herrera playing just his 7th big league game. And he has had himself a big night. He came into the game 0 for his last 10, flied out his first at bat, but he's had a couple of infield hits. And then he hit that home run down the left field line his last time up. Eric Goodell, who had a not so fun major league debut, is ready to finish off this game for the Mets. 2-1 to Herrera with Santana at first and 1 out. And he pokes one foul. 2-2. Daniel Corsino's now given up 2 home runs in relief in an inning and 2/3. Wilmer Flores had a home run earlier tonight. He's on deck. Flores' home run went the furthest, or maybe Duda's did. I didn't see the distance on Duda. Oh, there we go. 410. So Flores still has the lengthiest home run of the night. I don't know. That's got to be misjudgment, right? If it's 404 to center and he hit the back fence over the grass, it's got to be more than 410.
Yeah, and it was halfway up the screen, too.
I think the home run judger must have misjudged. 3-2 coming. And Herrera fouls one back this way. Watch out, Keith.
I see it right in front.
Still waiting for our first ball in the booth this year. I mean, we're running out of games. Only 21 more after today.
Is that what's left? You got all of them?
Of course.
I got 17.
Wow.
My number.
That's a lot for you. We're looking forward to having you on an everyday basis. And Herrera is on with a walk.
Jeez.
So that is 7 walks given up by Cincinnati pitching to go with the 18 hits and a hit by pitch. That's 26 base runners if we want to do the math. That's a lot. Brian Price is on his way out to the mound. Corsino has gone an inning and 2/3 in relief, and it looks like he will go no farther. Mets having themselves a fun night in Cincinnati, leading 14-3. Next. pitcher of the night.
Well, he's began his not major league career, professional career in 08 with the Reds, and he has not fared well. You see the numbers. And that's 14 games worth of work. And if you want to do the runs and those 18 innings, well, how about 16 runs?
Wilmer Flores, first man to face him. Flores has a double and a home run tonight. The Mets have a chance to get to a 7th time through the batting order, which is in a 9-inning game, which almost never happens.
Flores hits another one deep to left center. Back in the gap, though, Bourgeois is able to run it down.
Well, Flores taking a crack at a second home run and a 6th from the Mets, but came up short. 2 out.
Right in front of the track. So nicely done, run down by Bourgeois.
So 2 out and 2 on. Now Eric Campbell up for the second time. Campbell got a base hit as a pinch hitter in the 8th, stayed in at third base. Santana at second, Herrera at first, and 2 out. Daniel Corsino was a stat sheet filler. He went an inning and 2/3, allowed 4 hits. He's been charged with 3 runs so far, a walk, a strikeout, a hit by pitch, a wild pitch, and 2 home runs. He filled every box in just an inning and 2/3.
You're very cruel.
I didn't say it to be cruel. I was just pointing out a fact. That one goes over the helmet of Campbell on a breaking ball, 1-1. A couple of developments out of town. The Phillies are rallying in the 9th against Rafael Soriano. That one went right over his hat. Carlos Ruiz, a 2-run homer. It's now Nats 7, Phillies 6 in the 9th.
Soriano, he can give it up sometimes.
The other big news is in Detroit, where the tarp is coming off the field. So that's a good thing. You wouldn't want the Giants to be rained out of a 6-0 lead.
No, they're going to play to the cows come home.
The game's only in the 4th inning.
Everybody in the order will have had 6 trips at bat, except for those that were taken out of the game, which were David and Wright and Darno.
Lagares is 1 for 6. He's on deck. This is a 9-inning game. That doesn't happen. Remember Rennie Stennett?
Yes.
Went 7 for 7 in a 9-inning game.
Is that against the Giants?
No, I'm not sure. But
I remember that.
He's the only man ever to get 7 hits in a 9-inning game.
Yep, I remember that. 70s. That Rennie Stennett took over second base when the Pirates traded Dave Cash to Philadelphia. And Stennett came up, and Dave Cash was a much better fielder. Stennett was just a hacker. He could hit.
Well, he fit right in with that team.
Oh, yeah. He wasn't a great glove.
2 out, 2 on, 2-2 to Campbell. And he goes down swinging on a pitch in the dirt. And so no 7th at bat for Lagares. Not tonight. The Mets established season highs for home runs and runs with one swing by Lucas Duda. His 27th home run, a 2-run shot, makes it 14-3 New York going to the bottom of the 9th. Give the extra point and everything. For behind-the-scenes access, player reactions, and a complete game breakdown with exclusive on-field interviews and Rex Ryan's post-game comments on Jets Post-Game Live, presented by Toyota, Sunday immediately after the Jets-Raiders game, only on SNY. Changes for the Mets. Juan Santana, who pinch hits, stays in behind the plate. Josh Satin, who pinch hits, stays in at first base. Kirk Neuenhuis will play right field. And the new Met pitcher is Eric Goodell, making his second big league appearance.
Well, he had been an appearance in Miami. His debut wasn't a successful one. Walked a batter with the bases loaded, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
had one intentional walk.
Yeah, he was brought in to issue an intentional walk and then issued the unintentional walk as well. Chris Heisey will be the pinch hitter for Cincinnati, leading off in the last of the ninth. And Heisey fouls off the first offering by Goodell, 0-1. Goodell did not have a great season in Las Vegas, but he was on the roster. Mets needed some bullpen help, and so he benefited from that and got the call up.
Oregon players into the game.
And Heisey takes a big cut at a fastball. 0-2. Jason Bourgeois on deck, and then Ramon Santiago as Goodell tries to finish this one off. Well, Ben Revere just homered for the Phillies. Ben Revere, his second major league home run. Tied it up 7-7. Can you believe that?
Soriano, I can believe anything.
Now, I don't know if it went out of the ballpark or whether it was inside the park, but Ben Revere, remember, he went 1,400 some at bats before he hit his first big league home run earlier this season. Now he hits a game-tying home run with 2 out in the 9th in Washington. That's lined down the left field line. That's down for a base hit. Cut off nicely by Dendecker. And so Chris Heisey has a pinch hit single to start the bottom of the 9th.
Hanging breaking ball. Been a lot of hangers tonight. Just like that. It's like a. Sure, it's not Elvis just running the tape for us?
Over and over and over. I don't think that's his job, by the way. Here's Jason Bourgeois. He takes a fastball for a strike. Bourgeois is 0 for 3 tonight. Goodell struggling with his breaking ball, 1-1. Eric Goodell out of UCLA. One positive that he got out of his outing against the Marlins is after he got in trouble, he was able to get a double play ball with the bases loaded. He'd love to get a double play ball here. 24th round pick by the Mets in 2010. To right center, and over in the gap goes Lagares to run it down. To retire Bourgeois, 1 away. It is 7 putouts for Lagares in the last 6 innings.
He's been busy. You've been very busy. We've been busy up here all these hits.
A lot to write down.
Runs.
I mean, look at my side. The Mets side.
Kept a very nice ledger there. Very neat.
But it's very full.
Mine got out of hand.
6 times through the batting order in 9 innings.
I know. I've never had that. With the entire lineup, I got up 6 times.
Santiago hits a little bloop, and Herrera unable to grab it. He misjudged that. And Santiago will get a base hit as a result.
He sure did. Went back for it. He's mad at himself very awkwardly. Keep an eye on him on your upper right-hand screen. Oh, and once you start backpedaling, it's toast.
Second bloop that's gotten over Herrera. The first one, he made a pretty good effort on. The one Brandon Phillips hit in the second. That one not so good. So Santiago gets a base hit, the Reds' 10th hit of the night. And now it's Jack Hanahan up for the second time. Centeno wants to go out and talk to Goodell. Goodell spent all this year at Vegas working out of the bullpen. First time in his career he's done that. Even a starter, his whole minor league career before this season.
There's some loyal fans here that still stuck around.
Cincinnati Friday night. What else are you going to do?
Well, there's plenty to do.
Hanahan takes ball one.
You coming with me?
Are you going to give me chapter and verse on what there is to do in Cincinnati on a Friday night?
Oh gosh.
Just keep in mind, I'm married. You're not.
Well, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going back to the hotel. I'm just.
Oh, now we know why the people are staying.
Why? Oh, fireworks.
Fireworks after the game. So they're not quite as loyal as you think they are. They just like fireworks.
Gotcha.
That's what there is to do in Cincinnati on a Friday night. Stick around for the fireworks. That one gets behind Centeno. Remember when Centeno was up with the Mets earlier this year? He had the same problem.
Yes, he did.
Oh, it looked like it should have been caught.
Yep. Oh boy, just missed it.
The official scorer just called that a wild pitch, but that's not a wild pitch. That's a pass ball.
That's called box it and send me a dozen.
So 2 in scoring position with 1 out. 2-1 the count to Hanahan. And he lines one over Herrera. That's a base hit. Heisey will score. Santiago will score. So Hanahan with a 2-run single, and now it's 14-5.
Just out of the reach. And the beat goes on. Drum beats on the Ohio.
So 1 out and 1 on. Now Billy Hamilton up for the 5th time, and a bunt single in the 5th, 1 for 4. .29 hits now in this game. Mets 14 runs, 18 hits. The Reds 5 runs and 11 hits. And Hamilton went around, and it's 0-2. Frazier on deck. Now the 0-2 from Goodell, and it's bounced foul. Talked early in the evening about Billy Hamilton and the fact that he and Jacob deGrom are probably the top 2 candidates for Rookie of the Year. The other competition that Hamilton may be in with the Mets is for that Gold Glove in center field. We talk about Carlos Gomez, but Hamilton has his backers as well. And if Juan Lagares doesn't win a Gold Glove, Hamilton might be a reason why. Hamilton's another former shortstop like Lagares. They both were converted to the outfield. Two and two. Now the 2-2. Struck him out with a changeup. Goodell has his first strikeout. First strikeout of his major league career.
Good sink and change right there.
So the Reds are down to their final out. Todd Frazier's had a good night with the bat, not so great on the bases. He's got 3 for 4.
Not so good with his arm from third base, too.
And they take the baseball out of play. That's for Eric Goodell's trophy case. His first big league strikeout. That's nice. Eric Young just took possession of it in the Mets dugout. Hands it off to Ray Ramirez. Somebody will scribble the inscription. This should do it. Satin waits for it. And the Mets with an overwhelming victory in Cincinnati tonight. Season highs for home runs. First time they've hit 5 home runs in a game since 2006. Highs in runs scored. Tied their high in base hits. Everybody contributed tonight as the Mets walloped the Reds tonight 14-5.
Well, big hit parade. 18 hits, the 5 home runs. Duda is 27th. Darno is 13th. Flores is 3rd. Granderson is 17th. Herrera his 2nd. I had to rush through that, folks, because we got to go to commercial break. But that's the winning team right there. Colon gets his 13th win.
Colon went through 7 innings after a rough start. Made it look easy late. Game summary brought to you by Airbnb as the Mets get 5 home runs and crush the Reds tonight 14-5. For every Mets win, the Mets Foundation is proud to contribute $2,500 to the Cats Women's Hospital and Cats Institute for Women's Health. For more information, visit northshorelij.com/KIWH. This win brings the total contribution so far this season to $167,500. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Verizon. Create, share, and save every Mets moment with Fios Quantum and Verizon XLTE, the next advancement of America's largest and most reliable network. By Airbnb, welcome home. By Citi, every time the Mets hit a home run at Citi Field, Citi will make a $2,000 donation to a local community partner, courtesy of the Citi Thank You Home Runs for Community program. And by Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com for a free rate quote. Final score tonight, the Mets 14 and the Reds 5. Mets are 3-1 on this road trip. They'll try and keep the good times rolling tomorrow afternoon with Dylan G on the mound against Johnny Cueto, who will be going after his 17th win. Our coverage begins at 3:30 tomorrow afternoon right here on SNY. Now for Keith Hernandez, Steve Gelbs, and our entire SNY crew, I'm Gary Cohen in Cincinnati. Time for WB Mason Post Game Live. Let's join Gary and Bobby.